right, let's see. And bishop takes rook.
Ah, shit. Man, I'm so bad at chess. Can't we just play backgammon instead?
Why are you always trying to get me to play backgammon? You have a problem.
Chess is a cooler game.
Yeah, all right, cooler bot. What do you know about chess?
This is the queen. She's smart and she's fierce. She moves any way she wants, as far as she wants. And she is the go get shit done piece.
Cooler bot, that sounds kind of familiar. Have you been watching my DVDs of The Wire again?
Yes, 2-0.
Dude, I told you not to leave those out.
You know, we should watch The Wire.
Why are you always trying to get me to watch The Wire? You have a problem. Welcome to Crew Expendable. I am one of your hosts, the raddest babe in the core, Rohrbacher.
And I am designation HS17B48XG5-D5 Hallstrom.
And we're just a couple of bishop droids remotely scanning each other's brains for info all about the alien universe.
Hell yeah, we are. Nice intro.
It was definitely a weird one, that's for sure.
Is this the first time you've introed the show?
It might be the second. I may have done it like once before.
We got to trade off more often. I'm loving this.
Ah.
I get to just kick back and relax.
Yeah, which is normally what I do, which is why I'm like, when you say it.
All right, we'll talk about it off air. How you been, Kenny?
Dude, I've just been chilling, dog.
Yeah.
It's been going great. I'm still hacking away at Persona 3. Nice. And hot damn, what a game, dude.
Yeah, you've gone. I took a little break from it because of everything I got going on. I did boot it up the other night. You have progressed further than I have at this point, so no spoilers for the game that I've played the other versions of.
As far as I know, I believe you started playing it like right when it came out, I think.
I did, day one.
Yep.
I had it pre-installed.
I had already bought it. I also pre-ordered it because I got paid like 2 days before it came out or something. So I just bought it when I got paid. And so I also had it already installed day one, but Infinite Wealth had come out like 2 weeks before that, and I wasn't done with Infinite Wealth yet. So you started playing it right away, but I didn't get to it until like a month or, well, more like 2 or 3 weeks after it came out.
Yeah.
So I'm playing it. And like you said, I'm currently farther in Persona 3 Reload than you are, but you've beaten the game and I haven't.
Right. Yeah. I mean, not this version. Who knows what they've changed? I'm avoiding spoilers. I know that there's things added. I've already experienced quite a few of those. It's a major remix of that game, man.
Well, that's the thing. You've beaten this game, and even though I'm currently farther than you, I don't know shit about what's been going on because this is the first time I've ever meaningfully played Persona 3.
Right.
So I don't know like what kind of stuff they changed or added or remixed or whatever. As far as I know, this is just the game.
Sure.
You know?
And at this point, this is the game. Right, like
that's true. That's true.
This is, I mean, we mentioned on the last episode. People probably like, why the fuck these guys always talking about Persona? This is an alien podcast.
Well, we're talking about it because we like Persona.
Because it's a good series, and we're friends, and we like to talk about the things we like with each other. All right,
that's right.
YouTube.
That's
commenter.
Why we're doing the show.
You think the guy who goes to our YouTube page sometimes and puts timestamps of when we actually start talking about the topic is gonna hit this one? If you're hearing this, dude, do it. Okay.
Yeah, I hope you are listening to it because I want you to know, whoever it is that's making those comments, that on more than one occasion, we have specifically dragged out the non-alien intro discussion part, specifically because we were hoping you would listen to it and go, geez, not this bullshit again. Like, there are times when this intro convo would have taken less time if it weren't for you.
Sure. And I do want to say, I kind of appreciate the service, right?
I mean, like, I suppose it is like helpful to other people that aren't us that listen to the show that like just want that. But like to me, this is as important a part of the show as everything else, because like you said, we are friends. We're not just like reading off of a script or like reciting info from a Wikipedia page. We're like having a real conversation about these things in real time. So us just like hanging out is to me important for the vibes of the show, if not necessarily the actual like what's the word I'm looking for? The actual content of the show.
Sure. Yeah, and you know, we're just two dudes trapped on a space station, a spaceship together, the USCSS podcast.
Mm-hmm. As I would say, as always, except as we haven't really brought that up lately, not that much. So
yeah, I mean, it's what the intros are about. That gives people, lets people know where we're at. I'm really kind of half-assing the immersion right now.
That's fine. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention that is actually tied in to my playing of Persona 3 Reload. I got delivered, and have been using a PS Portal.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that. How's your experience with that?
I gotta say, man, I really like it a lot.
Nice. I have the is it the Logitech, the G Cloud, because you know I'm on the Xbox ecosystem. I know there's a way to get that thing to work with the PlayStation Remote Play, and I do enjoy switching to handheld. I like having that option, especially with Game Pass streaming and everything. So
my whole thing about it is that like I remember back, you know, because the thing came out like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And I remember I was talking to you when it came out about how much I wanted to get one. And you were like, well, I mean, you have a Steam Deck. Can't that like work, you know, as like a, you know, streaming thing with PlayStation and all that? And it's like, it can. And I suppose there isn't really a reason to justify it. The justification is that psychologically it's a different thing. Yeah. But like, actually the deck is a really good comparison, because like to me, like the deck is great and I love it and I'm really glad that I have it, because it is a gaming PC that I don't have to be like sitting at a computer with a mouse and keyboard to be able to play stuff on. Right. And it's great and I like it, but I don't really use it that much because it's like an entirely different setup and UI, and like it's like, you know, a different library because it's like a Steam library for PC games, and it's like, you know, none of the games I own on any of my other systems carry over to that one. So all of the games that I play on there I can't get from anywhere else, and I can't take to anywhere else. It can't be traded or swapped with anything. I can't even like move save files over or whatever. So that's like its own separate, entirely self-contained ecosystem that can't spread out to anything else. So while I really like my deck and I'm glad I have it, I don't really use it that much because of that. But
I get it.
My PS5 I use all the fucking time, like almost every single day. And so the Portal might not be useful in a way the Steam Deck is, but all the Portal does is just give me another way to play the video games that I would already be playing almost every day anyway. And so the Steam Deck is something where I got it and I was like, ooh, this is sweet. And like, it'll be like, I'll play it really hard for like a week or two and then not touch it for like 3 months. Whereas the Portal, I used it one time and went, wow, I'm going to be using this regularly.
Yeah, man. I do like remote play solutions in general.
Yeah.
And let me be clear. There's no judgment here. You bought a PlayStation View. I have so many ways to play my Xbox stuff that doesn't involve turning on my actual Xbox.
Yeah.
Like that I have spent money on. So like I can't judge, right? Like I've got controllers for the phone, you know. I have an Xbox sitting next to my computer, and I have opted to play on my computer instead of on my Xbox, but with cloud streaming. So, yeah, we do what we do, right? We can't explain why, but we just want the freedom to play our games however the hell we want to, you know?
Yeah, because like me with my setup, the way I have it is the TV that has my PS5 hooked up to it is like parallel to my bed.
Sure.
So the width is the same direction that the length of my bed is going, and it's off to the side. So I have to like be laying sideways on my bed or be like sitting on my bed like it's a couch or whatever. And so it's kind of awkward to try to play it sometimes, especially if it's like later at night and I'm trying to get ready for bed or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the Portal is perfect for like if I want to play video games, but I don't want to be like, you know, lying at a 45-degree angle trying to be able to figure out what I'm doing when the TV is on and it's like 2 feet away from my face, but it's already like, you know, lights off and everything. Or like if I want to like get up and go like cook dinner or something, but I'm in the middle of something, I can just bring the Portal and like, you know, while my pasta is cooking, I can just do a few more fights for 10 or 15 minutes, you know, like that kind of thing is why it's perfect for me. And so that was why I played it one time and went, oh yeah, this was definitely worth the money.
Did I call it the PlayStation View a minute ago? That was a completely different thing, wasn't it? That was like their TV service or some shit.
You did say that, and it was another thing, but I knew what you meant, so I was like, it's fine.
Okay, I just don't want anyone YouTube commenting about how much of an idiot I am about the various PlayStation products out there.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you have gone on record before that you are not a Sony guy and are an Xbox guy. So.
Right, but that's not like a belief of mine. I want to be clear. So, all right, I'll just tell the story here. All right, I got an Xbox One because I won it from McDonald's in a giveaway.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I liked that it had backwards compatibility and everything. I had a PlayStation 3 also. I didn't really enjoy playing on the PlayStation 3 for whatever reason. And I didn't like that it didn't have backwards compatibility. So I just didn't end up getting a 4 because I got a free PlayStation 4 because I got a free Xbox One. So now when the new generation of stuff came out, I was like, well, I got all these fucking Xbox One games, you know, it's time for an upgrade. I'm just going to upgrade and make sure I can keep playing all the games I already own and get that, smart delivery next gen versions of several of them. And that's how I made the decision.
Yeah. And see, the big problem with that is that like, you know, I have a Steam Deck. I have the dock for my Steam Deck.
Right.
I have a PS Portal. I even have the like media player remote control for the PS5. I recently bought a gaming headset.
Yeah.
I like having video game hardware.
Sure.
And the reason I'm bringing that up is because even though I know there is literally no reason for me to buy an Xbox X, I still want to get one very badly. I barely own, like I own an Xbox One and I only ever really played it a handful of times. I only have like maybe 5 or 6 games for it.
Sure.
And I didn't really use it that much. I didn't like, you know, I bought it after I already owned a PS4. And so like 90% of the games I would have otherwise gotten for it, I already had for the PS4.
Right.
You know, so there just wasn't really much for it that I needed to get. And that's kind of the problem with the Xbox X. It's like I want to get one, but there aren't any games for it that I would want to get because like the exclusives of the Microsoft's consoles aren't games that I want because they're all like racing games and FPSs.
Yeah. I mean, some of the, I mean, come on, man. Starfield, come on.
But the exclusives of the Sony systems are like 80% of them are games I would like.
Right.
And so that's the reason why I've always gone with the Sony version and the reason why I don't have an X, but like I still want to get the system, even though every game for it that I would want is very likely available for the PS5 that I already own.
Yeah.
You know?
And if not, it's probably available for your Steam Deck.
Very likely, yes.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's no real game that exists that makes me want to buy an Xbox X, but I still want to get one because I like owning video game hardware.
Yeah, I get that. I'm similar, but like, man, I got a lot of hobbies. I can't spend money on everything at the same time, you know? Ugh.
Speaking of video game hardware and your opinions about stuff.
Sure.
I did have one very quick question. A friend of mine told me about a game the other day.
Yeah.
that is a Saturn game.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm pretty sure Neil owns like 3 Saturns, so I'll ask him about that.
I technically own 2. One of them is broken, though.
Oh,
I mean,
lame.
it can be repaired. I just haven't done that. I do own 3 Dreamcasts, though.
Oh, it was the Dreamcast
Yeah.
that you owned 3 of. Okay, there we go.
One of those might be broken. I'm not sure right now.
I'm trying to find the game he told me about.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, it's a Saturn game that was not released in the US. There we go.
Okay.
It is a first-party Sega game
Sure.
called Deep Fear.
Deep Fear. I have heard of this. I don't know anything about it.
It was basically described to me as a Resident Evil 1, but set underwater.
Okay, that sounds dope. I have heard of this. Yeah, I did just I'm about to drop some facts about it. I did just open it up in Wikipedia. So,
All right.
yeah, I have heard of this game. I think that this was going to be released.
Based on what he
just-
told me, I think it was Japan only, but it's fully translated in English because
Yeah.
they were intending to release it in the West.
There was
But then they just decided not to last minute.
there was a PAL release for it, so that is probably why that it's fully translated.
Got it.
But it dropped in 1998. One in the UK, 18th of September 1998. That's a year before the Dreamcast launched in North America.
Sure is.
Very close. I mean, I don't know the Japanese release date of the Dreamcast, but it dropped there a few months earlier than here. So less than a year.
It was. I think it was sometime in '98 though. So
Yes. Yeah. So I guess more than a few months, but yeah,
anyway.
I do kind of remember hearing about this. This is hilarious. The protagonist's name is John Mayer.
it sure is. It sure the fuck is.
A space capsule presumed lost for 40 years crashes into the Pacific Ocean. Okay. Service member John Mayer.
And see, listeners, you wouldn't know this because, of course, you are, in fact, this may come as a shock to you, not privy to me and Neil's private DMs. But Neil, to let you know,
Yes.
my friend telling me about this game was the reason why a couple of days ago I started talking to you about that movie Leviathan.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, like our conversation about Leviathan was because my friend was telling me about Deep Fear, and he was like, when he was telling me about it, he's like, oh yeah, it's kind of like that movie Leviathan. And I was like, I've never fucking heard of that movie. And so I looked it up and went, ooh, baby. And then immediately got onto Amazon and ordered a copy of it, which is arriving at my house tomorrow.
Nice.
So
Speaking of, I watched Deep Rising over the weekend. Have you seen Deep Rising?
I don't think I've ever seen it. The name sounds familiar. I know I've heard of it before when you mentioned it to me offhandedly to me the other day.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever seen it before.
It came out
If
in
it's the movie,
1998.
Yeah.
Same year as Deep Fear. Okay.
all right.
A cultural touchstone for everyone. Stephen Sommers movie about a luxury ocean liner that gets taken over by sea monsters, and
Oh hell yeah!
Treat Williams and his crew, including what's the guy's name? The guy who plays Benny in the Mummy movies.
Oh yeah, okay.
They have like a boat, and like some mercenaries hired their boat to go attack this cruise ship, but this cruise ship has already been attacked by sea monsters, so they're trying to escape. It's my favorite Aliens knockoff.
Oh, nice.
It is super cheesy. It's not like a good movie, but it's like a good movie. You know what I mean? It's one of those. It's super fun to watch. Trevor Goddard, who played Kano in Mortal Kombat 95, is in it.
He sure did do that.
Yeah, and Famke Janssen is in it.
Yep. Wes Studi is in it. Jimon Hansu is in it.
Jimon Hansu. Yeah, it's a fun movie. It's always fun to watch that movie. It is.
Damn, I have never seen this movie before.
That's going on our list of things that we're not ready to announce to everybody yet.
Yeah, we shouldn't be, but we got a list, that's for sure. It's Deep Rising is on Hoopla.
Nice. I
Yeah, hell
own
yeah.
it. I own it. So
Of course you do. This is me making the face that is the least surprised I've ever been.
and that's why I can't afford a PS5 comfortably.
Yeah, that's the reason, yes.
One last bit about Deep Fear. The Sega development team that developed it was Overworks, who also made one of my favorite video games of all time, Skies of Arcadia.
Nice. That is a game that, Neil, you will be pleased to hear I have played.
Nice.
I have it installed and in one of the emulators on my Steam Deck, and I have played it for roughly 20 minutes.
Okay. It is very good.
I watched the opening cutscene and then got through the opening couple of fights or however the game starts. There's battle tutorial or whatever.
Yes.
And then I watched the next cutscene and then went, I don't have time to do this. I got to go do something else. And then I closed the game and then I just never played it again.
It is it's a 2000, I think it came out, role-playing game, JRPG. It is paced like a 2000s role-playing game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's excellent and unique, very unique. It's a game where they give you the airship right away.
For the record, the version of it I don't think is the Dreamcast version.
Yeah.
I believe it is like the enhanced re-release or whatever for, I believe, the GameCube.
Yeah, Skies of Arcadia Legends.
That's the one, yeah.
I also have played that. I own both versions.
I thought the last time you brought it up was the least surprised face I could ever make, but now my face is even less surprised than that.
So Legends is kind of rebalanced. There's less random encounters because there's so fucking many in the Dreamcast version, and they've sort of rebalanced like XP gain and stuff. There's still a lot, right? But
I got you.
The only thing that's not better in Legends is they compress the soundtrack. So it doesn't sound as good. It still sounds good in my opinion, but it doesn't sound as good.
I got you.
And there was a little thing you could do with the Dreamcast, which is a notoriously noisy system. You could hear the laser moving.
Oh, nice.
Right before a random battle. So you could quickly pause and make sure you were all healed up and everything before a battle started.
That rules.
Yeah, it was a nice trick. But man, it has been 24 minutes, probably edited some. Should we get into our actual topic?
Yeah, let's.
All right. Josh X Novak 1 on YouTube. Take note for the timestamp.
That's right. We're finally getting into it.
Now's your time because Kenny, we're talking more Bug Hunt, aren't we?
We sure are, baby.
We are talking two stories from the Bug Hunt anthology, Broken by Rachel Caine and Reclamation by Yvonne Navarro. And we're going to do these one at a time, right? Mm-hmm. Because I guess it'd be hard to talk about both of them. Hey, let's try this. I'll talk about one of them and you talk about the other one and we just do it at the same time.
Yeah, what we can do is your audio can be playing in one ear and mine in the other. Yeah. And then we just talk and go over the story like normal, but we just have both of them playing simultaneously. I bet that would be fun as hell to mix.
Sure, people would love. Actually, the mixing would be easy.
That's true. Actually, you've got me there.
and people will love it.
Yeah, they'll absolutely love it. Yes.
All right, let's get into this for real. Guys, it's a later than normal recording for us again on a weekday, and again I've been up against it, so this will be fun. I don't know what I mean by that, guys. I'm still tired. Let's talk about Broken by Rachel Caine. First, a little background about the author. Rachel Caine is a pen name.
Oh, nice.
Of Roxanne Longstreet Conrad, who sadly passed away in 2020.
That's shitty.
Yeah. She was she has a lot of books under her belt, mostly in the what is called the adult urban fantasy genre, and that is not adult like 50 Shades of Grey. It's just like not for young adult, right? It's for grown.
Yeah, it's like as opposed to YA. I gotcha.
Right. I mean, there may be some content in there, but these aren't like adult books from what I understand. But also a writer of a lot of YA fantasy as well. Definitely picked up some of that in this story. That is not an insult. I want to be clear. Okay. Not picking on it, but there's a certain styles and naming conventions that are popular in YA from what I understand. The big series I think that Rachel Caine wrote is called the Morganville Vampires series.
All right.
Which I know nothing about. And there's
Neither do I.
There's like 100 of them. I don't even know how many.
Oh.
There are tons of them. Very long running series. She also did a book for the Athena Force series, which is also something I'm not familiar about, but I saw Athena Force and thought that looks interesting.
All right.
That novel is called Line of Sight. And she wrote a Stargate SG-1 novel called Sacrifice Moon. Are you a Stargate person at all?
I've never seen a single second of it.
Same. I never saw the movie. I haven't seen any of the TV series. I think I watched the first episode of Stargate Universe at a friend's recommendation.
All right.
And that's it. Yep. Not big Stargate heads, but I bet there's some Stargate heads out there in the audience. So read.
I'm sure there is.
Go read that Rachel Caine penned novel called Sacrifice Moon.
Yeah, do that.
Let's get into this story. You know how we were like, it's really interesting to see like other corners of the alien universe and the colonial marines and stuff that aren't so tied to like aliens, you know?
We did say that, yeah.
Well, I'll just say it. Both of these stories throw that out the window.
Yeah, guess what this episode will not be doing?
And also, spoiler alert for when we do another bug hunt episode, guess what the next one won't be doing? This is the story of an artificial person named Bishop.
It sure is.
We literally see the moment that Bishop is like turned online, right?
Yeah, I believe the first line in the story is his first words ever after he gets turned on, which if I recall correctly, because I don't have the story in front of me, I think it's on.
It is on. That is his first word.
Yes.
It's really interesting. So the gist of this opening bit is that he sort of wakes up, checks his surroundings, sees a human named Dr. Sasaki, and she sort of assesses if he's like functioning properly or if he needs to be junked. Okay.
Yep, that is correct.
Yeah. Now it is told very well, in my opinion. Spoiler alert. I liked this story. As he like comes online, as his brain is sort of like sending functions, he thinks about the knowledge that's already been hard coded into him, terms for how to refer to himself: android, synthetic, robot, artificial person, and as we all know, he prefers the term artificial person.
And yeah, this, like, we see the moment where he decides, I think I like artificial person, but like we never, like, weirdly, we never figure out why that's the one he prefers. He just lists all of them off and he goes, let's go with, let's see, artificial person. That sounds good. It's like, why is that the one he likes the most, you know?
So I will say, I think that something that is really interesting about this story is that he, you know, as we read it, he is making these decisions that are mimicking human emotions, but they're presented in his mind in very analytical ways that he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of it, right? Like it's a process of selection for him that there is meaning to, but he doesn't understand or know that there's meaning to it.
Yeah, he doesn't know the why. He just gets it. It's like this thing happens, and then his brain processes what he's supposed to do to respond like correctly to it. You know?
Yeah, it's cool, honestly. I really believed those moments of like, it's a computer. Like, he's a computer. When I said I meant his brain, not him. Yeah. Let's be very clear. Yeah. So yeah, just watching the decision-making process is all very robotic and computery, but like the results of it ultimately make him feel more human. And that's also by design, right? I think that's why this stuff is programmed in. Like, they're programming in human intuition, like, or at least a good simulation of it.
Yeah.
because like another thing he does right away is blink his eyes, which lubricates them, but like specifically with like a fluid, a moisturizing lubricant.
Yeah.
But also that helps them look more human. You know, the blinking and everything. It's just I like it.
There's another thing that this section of the book does.
Yeah.
Speaking of like, us, reading his narration of like his brain operating and putting all this information together.
Yeah.
This section of the book, especially, I think it happens later on in the story too, but I noticed it during this part.
Yeah.
Is that like there's like a genuine attempt at like how the narrative structure is actually written. There's like actually a real attempt at the way I interpreted it.
Yeah.
It was trying to show us how fast his brain processes data by just suddenly having random pieces of informational description just pop up in like a parenthetical or a hyphenate just in the middle of sentences, just all over the place.
Yeah.
It's just like it kind of like it feels like she was trying to describe to humans what like information overload would seem like.
Yeah.
And like I thought it was really neat and like a really fun way to depict like how should I phrase this? Like I guess you could say a human brain that's way smarter than any human ever has been. Because like that another problem that I'm sure you've seen before in fiction is that like it's really hard to depict someone in a story that is smarter than you yourself are.
Yes.
Right. And so I thought it was a good way to show.
I never personally have that problem, but I understand what you're saying.
Fair. Yes. That's because you never write anything. I get it. Don't worry.
Hey, I wrote that intro.
That's true. You got me there. But yeah, like I thought it was a really good way to show like how his information processing systems work and like how smart he is and like how much data and information is just running through his brain constantly, just all the time. Like it was a good way to show that without him being like some kind of like nerd Poindexter, like, I can recite the first 3,500 digits of pi.
Right.
Like, it was a good way to show us. It was a good way to show us how smart he is without trying to like be smart to show it.
Little comments like when he's looking at Dr. Sasaki and he's like the color of her skin amber and her eyes which match the shade his database identified as dark brown, just like this kind of stuff, these little details, the way the room is described, all of these things in this early one, in this early section. It all helps. And then there's like it describes her body language, right? Her shoulders had gone stiff and that body language conformed to what? Suspicion? Like the way it's phrased is him analyzing and figuring out what these things that he's seeing for the first time are and mean. And he's able to get a sense of what they are, like understand them because it's, it's part of his programming, right? But it's still the first time he's experiencing all of these things. It gives him life, right? He's not just like an encyclopedia,
Which is important because during this conversation, he discovers that he's what's the good way to phrase it? He's like, one of those girls who isn't like the other girls.
Yeah, he's a little, you might say, broken.
Yeah, I literally describe him as the quirky one later on in my notes.
So, in this first scene, as he wakes up and talks to Dr. Sasaki, makes her uncomfortable because he reads his name tag and calls her by name instead of her telling him her name.
Which I'll push back on that a little bit. It is kind of weird that she's like, how did you know that? Like, did she forget he can read? Like, what's up with that?
I think because we're about to meet 3 more bishops that were also recently activated, or 3 more of the same model. None of them did that, and then he did. You know what I mean? So maybe it's not standard protocol when these things come online. But again, this guy's he's a little different.
That's fair. You've convinced me.
I don't think that's clear until later on in the story. because she calls him a curious one too, right? Because he asks what he's standing on. He notices as he's woken up, he hasn't moved yet, and he's standing on something that's basically a fail-safe that if the synthetic is showing signs of instability, they just hit this trap door and drop the poor guy or girl down a chute where they are then dismantled and parts are salvaged for other synthetics.
Yep. Sasaki at one point refers to it as flushing.
Yes.
And during this conversation, we discover, I even wrote in my notes, he has a great discussion about being born above an execution chamber.
Yeah, he recognizes it as an execution chamber, and then like he has this intuitive, like non-conscious just thing he has to do where he's like, I'm getting off this thing in the interest of self-preservation.
Yeah, it's great too, because I may be remembering this wrong. So this factoid might not actually be true because I read this yesterday.
Yeah.
So I don't have 100% perfect recall. I do not have an eidetic memory. I might be wrong about this, but in my recollection of reading the story, I believe he finds out what like the chute is for and what flushing is. And then in his memory refers to it like if that happened to him, he mentally thinks about it as it would kill him.
Yeah, I think, he does think about that. I'm not sure if it's in
like
this
he
moment,
doesn't,
but
he doesn't process it the way a robot would, as like, you know, how you said it just like dismantles him and puts the parts into other robots to try again. Like he processes it as, oh, that'll kill me.
Right. So he gets passed by Dr. Sasaki, right? She doesn't flush him.
She considers it 2 separate times, but she decides not to. And it implies at one point that she regrets not doing it.
Right. Yeah. So I like this one bit where he, as he steps off of the execution chamber, we'll call it, it says his hydraulic fluid starts pumping faster, like he's having a fear reaction to it. Mm-hmm. And he very specifically says he didn't want to die. So that's what you're talking about, where
that's what I was thinking of. There we go.
Yeah. Where he recognizes what death is. And, you know, it's, again, he's not like the other girls.
He sure ain't.
And so then Dr. Sasaki ushers him into the next room, right? And as he's walking through, she says in Japanese, I should have flushed him. And he like understands it, translates it in his head, knows what she said, and then experiences sadness, you know? Mm-hmm. In the next room, there are 4 artificial persons all sitting down. They all look exactly like him, and their names are Castle, King, Knight, and Rook.
Yep. This story introduces the new canon exclusive to this story, where they're not called Bishop because there was a person named Bishop. They're called Bishop because they're just named after chess pieces. Yeah.
It's different, right?
Also, it's very funny to me that there's one named Castle and one named Rook. They are the same piece, dog.
Sure. Well, someone likes chess. What are you going to name him? Pawn? You can't name him King, you know?
That's true.
And he's bishops. I mean, I guess there could have just been 3 others, right?
Yeah, especially because, spoiler alert, they don't come back later.
No. They there is a character whose name is Knight in the second story also. I believe it's a human and not a synthetic, though.
I believe that's also correct, yes.
Yeah, so I like that we got 2 knights in this. That should have been our designations, but oh well.
It should have been, oh well.
This is confusing because, like, I think canon has established the bishop is a model, just like the David is a model, right? And even when they alter the David, it's the Walter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is a unique situation. It's a fun storytelling idea that I don't think was necessary. It just is I mean, it gives him this chance to like make a comment about, oh, someone likes chess and all the other synthetic.
Just like stare at him blankly, and he's like, tough crowd.
Be like, what the fuck are you talking about? We don't see how that's relevant or whatever. So it's an opportunity to set him apart. But unless I'm mistaken, I mean, it was specifically a bishop in the bad alien Marvel comic, right? Bloodlines. There we go.
Bloodlines, yeah.
Not bad, just not good. Actually, it was 2 bishops because it was one bishop's brain put into another bishop's body, if I remember that correctly.
I don't remember either way, so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, and then we've got like Carl Bishop Wayland, and the whole idea that they are designed after Charles Bishop Wayland. I honestly don't know what is and isn't canon anymore in terms of how the bishops work. Maybe we'll figure it out. Maybe somebody nice will email us and explain it. mother@crewexpendable.net. Maybe there's an AVP Galaxy video on it we can look for later.
And also, we already have an out because if you recall, the intro to this book says some of these stories are canon and some are not. So
okay, that's fair. All right.
If we feel like it, we could just lump this one into the not canon pile. It's fine.
Sure, that's probably what we should do. But I would like to know, like, the definitive rules on how synthetic naming works. Right. Well, like
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would like to know that, Neil.
Okay. Well, yeah,
because it is wildly inconsistent.
Hit us up if you got answers. We love to learn.
Both this story and the next one have one scene in them that while I was reading the story, I imagined this scene playing out in my head in live action as if it were part of the film Aliens.
Okay.
Both of the stories had exactly one scene that my brain like reprocessed into live action.
Yes.
And in this story, this scene was the one, like where he meets the other 3 bishop units.
Yeah, I can picture this too.
I really got a great image in my head. I was really enjoying like a scene of like Lance Henriksen talking with 3 other Lance Henriksens, and they're all like wooden and completely unemotive, and he's like, what's the fucking deal with these guys?
A buck naked Lance Henriksen talking to 4 others with gray jumpsuits on.
No, I mean, of course, like, you know, since Bishop is the main character of the story, of course I'm imagining Lance Henriksen as the main character for the whole story, of course.
Sure.
But like, this is the only one where I was like, what would it be like actually seeing this scene in live action rather than just my brain passively inputting Lance Henriksen every time I see the name Bishop? Like, I was actually imagining like the blocking and like the editing for the scene and like, you know, all that kind of stuff. I was picturing it. Yeah, I was picturing it literally as a movie rather than just simply imagining Lance in this story.
Kind of like a low angle, right, on the 4 others sitting on the couches or whatever. All of them standing up in unison when he walks in and introduces himself. He like walks in and he sees the other 4 just sitting there nude on the couch, and they all turn and look at him, you know, at the same time, and then stand up and turn and come up to him. Like, I'm picturing the scene happening in a movie in my head, and I go, this is really fun. Like I said, Lance just like looking at a bunch of other naked Lances going, what's the fucking deal with these guys? I mean, I'd watch it, but hey. It was very funny to me. It would be fun to see him because, like, you know, he played Bishop like very robot-y, I'll say, but still not robotic. But not robotic. It would be nice to see him play against himself and see like the nuances in the performance, right? Similar to our boys David and Walter, right? Mm-hmm. How much I loved most of those scenes. Because Michael Fassbender also had a lot of real like subtlety in his emotions as David, and performed Walter differently, you know? Mm-hmm. He sure did. Yeah, I'd like to see the Lance Henriksen version of that as well. Maybe someday we will. Oh. That's not like I don't know. I don't know that that's going to happen. I don't think it will. I don't think it will either. I was purposely making a joke by pretending as if we were dropping some kind of knowledge. But no, that's not going to happen. Our listeners know that we don't have any insider information. We sure don't. Yet. And if we did, we'd keep it to ourselves. That's why it's insider information. Correct. Exactly. So, he interacts with the other bishops, the other chess pieces. none of them get him, right? He's different. He sort of realizes that like the way he is responding to themes are outside of the normal parameters as he thinks. But he's glad that they weren't so far out of the normal parameters that he wasn't sent to his death.
Yep.
Right. But is he like, am I defective or whatever? No, I'm different. And then, they're all marched out and shipped off.
Yep. And then it cuts to some time later, and we meet the couple of the Marines that he's been stationed with.
Yeah.
There is a Larson, and one of them has the absolutely fucking completely buck wild name of Peak Skill.
Private Peak Skill. This is the YA naming convention I was thinking of.
I took one look at Peak Skill and went, what the fuck is that?
And I don't think he's a particularly good soldier, is he?
He is not really a very good soldier. That is correct. He shoots later on in the scene, he shoots one guy and literally whoops out loud.
It's like when they name like a real tall guy Tiny, you know?
Peak Skill, dude. What a stupid fucking name.
I know. I know.
I saw that and went literally, I literally out loud went, what the fuck is a Peak Skill?
So I tried to highlight names because, you know, I don't always remember the names, right? But these are short stories. All of them have 17 characters apiece. I'm just not going to remember all the names.
Oh, it gets especially fun in the second story when a character literally brings up a roll call and lists every single character in the story.
Yeah, that's when I was like, nope.
We'll get there though. We'll get there. We're not there yet. That's in the second story.
So we're with Bishop. One final note about that last segment. I like when all of them are marching out to be shipped off, and he's like intentionally making sure he's not walking in the same rhythm as the other ones because he's different. I like that it was an intentional choice.
I also liked how the dude sticks his head and he's goes, you're being shipped out. And Bishop's like, where are we going? And the guy's like, who the fuck cares? That's not up to you.
Beats me, robot. Get in the crate.
Yeah, he's like, who the fuck? Shut up. Just do what you're told. And he's like, you got it.
Anyway, back in the future, Bishop and his the other Marines, Lieutenant Larson, Private Peak Skill, etc., are in a firefight in Haarsa Colony Marketplace. Yep,
which is Haarsa Colony, which they say later is run by the Wayu Terraforming Division.
Right.
And they are in a firefight against a group of former soldiers, as we find out later, called Company F.
Yes. A pirate organization, as they're described, made up of former Marines, mercenaries, and anyone who met their standards of moral absence and greed.
Yep.
I like that they comment that Bishop thinks that their methodology is brilliant, which is that
he sure does.
They land on a peaceful settlement, take hostages, kill a bunch of people to get their point across, and then make a financial demand, like a ransom to whatever corporation is in charge of this place, right? They get paid off and they move on. This time, Wayland Yutani had Lucky Larson's crews like very close by, right? Bishop and everybody.
And they decided they've had enough.
So in went the Marines, and it's not going great, I think, right?
It's not. That is correct. I believe Bishop says that, I may be getting the numbers wrong, but he calculates that roughly 50% of the colony is dead, I think.
Jesus, yeah.
At one point, something like that.
They've got, there's like 30 or so of Company F. They're holding 11 hostages. 4 of them are children.
And I also like during the scene where there's like the firefight and Peak Skill kills a guy, and he's like, while all of this is happening, Bishop is just like passively like admiring the architecture of this place, you know?
Yeah.
But what I really love about this scene is like Bishop's, I guess you could call it internal monologue, because like the book is third person, but like we can see inside of his head, you know?
Yes.
And what I really liked about this scene, which kind of goes back to the opening scene and how I liked how like the narrative of it was like written from a structure standpoint.
Yeah.
They do another thing here that I really like about how he keeps like pointing out and like reminding to himself that he's like fucked up and weird and quirky for an AD, but he's very notably not like bitter or angry or upset about it.
No, he's still figuring his shit out.
It's simply just data that he is aware of.
Right.
And he has to factor that into his plans like any other data. The fact that it's about himself doesn't mean anything to him beyond just another data point he has to factor into his plans.
Yes. And I want to be clear. While Company F has 11 hostages, there are other just innocent bystanders stuck in this firefight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to get the survivors out, right? But they've only got like 11 or 12, I think, cryo pods.
They have 12.
So Bishop's job is to like round up people that they can rescue, right? Like check the wounded, tag the ones you think are worth cryo, but we can only take 12 of them. So Bishop is doing that. He's not armed or anything. He's just going to go find these survivors, but he does ask Lucky Larson, not to be confused with Bucky Larson, which was a movie I've never seen.
I haven't seen it either, but it sure was a movie. That is correct.
He's like, well, if how do we rescue the hostages if we're not going to go after Company F, who is sort of like on the retreat, right?
And then Larson goes, "Bitch, we're not."
Yeah, we're blowing the central converters and we're getting out, right?
Yeah, we're blowing it up, killing everyone, and that's how we're handling them. And Bishop's like, "Wait, what?"
That's blowing those things is going to release some kind of terraforming gas, Prevox gas, and everyone's going to die if they don't get to like respirators, right?
And turns out that was the reason why he's like, we have room for 12 people on these cryopods, and we're not taking anyone else because the people we can physically carry to the ships are the only ones making it out alive.
Yeah. And blowing up, like releasing this gas is part of the plan to kill Company F because, and this is a bit of tech that didn't work for me. The masks that they have with them are smart linked, or not just the ones they have with them, just the ones that are there, I guess. Yeah. They won't work unless we like unlock them, right? And somebody named Ibarra has already locked them down. This is some shit that we shouldn't have. Like, companies shouldn't have control over whether their PPE functions or not remotely, you know?
Yeah.
This is some dark capitalist shit right here.
Yeah, that's like how some months ago a picture was making the rounds on Twitter of like some like HP printer that somebody bought that on the little LED screen popped up and said that because your ink subscription because your ink is empty and you haven't renewed your subscription, your printer is no longer able to be used. And it's like they won't let you just put your own ink cartridges in anymore. It's kind of like that, and you're like, what the fuck?
It's 100% like that. I had a long story short, somebody gave the company I work for a printer that they no longer needed, but that person had signed up for the ink subscription thing, and those ink cartridges have a chip in them, right? So that printer would then only work with other subscription-based ink cartridges that had that same chip in them. So it was useless to us unless we signed up for the ink cartridge subscription. I mean, that's evil enough, right? But then to do that to your gas masks, come on.
Yeah, I believe I saw another similar picture not too long ago, and it was significantly less dark to me just because it was about a Cybertruck. but the picture was something along the lines of about how like some kind of like subscription you can have that you can sign your Cybertruck up for, like their subscription for it like had ended or not gotten renewed or something, and so the little screen on it said that until it gets renewed you cannot start your Cybertruck.
It's hilarious.
Like they won't let you turn your truck on unless you start paying for this thing again. And I was like, see, that also is shitty, but on the other hand, I'm gonna laugh at it because that's what you fucking get for buying a Cybertruck, you dumbass.
Just to tag my printer comment, who's running this colony? WY or HP? Okay.
Oh dang, snap, dog.
I've been sitting on that for minutes.
You sure have, and it was worth the wait. But yeah, anyway, he finds this out. Bishop finds this out. They're just going to kill all the hostages.
Yes.
And he's like, yo, Larson, I'm going to go rescue them. And he's like, no, you're not. And he goes, actually, I think I will. And Larson's like, no, you absolutely the fuck are not. And he goes, I think I'm going to, though, actually.
Sure. Actually, he didn't even have to think about it. He knew what he was going to do before he calculated the odds or whatever, right? Now, he has gotten survivors to the dropship already, to the cryos place. Some of them were not going to survive, and he didn't try to take those people, right? He had this instinct to talk to them and tell them that it would be over soon or whatever. So he has gotten the survivors in the immediate area out. He's fulfilled that part of the mission, and he feels good about that, right? He's like, hey, I did my job. If anyone asks, I did my job. Now I'm going to get those fucking hostages. Blow the place if you need to, right?
Yep. And turns out that the whole reason Larson is like mad and doesn't let him go, even though he goes anyway, is because he realizes that like Larson, like a lot of other people, just sees him as a tool and not like an actual creature. And so Larson's whole reason is you're too expensive to get blown up. And even if you don't get blown up, you can be captured and reprogrammed. And he's like, this motherfucker just sees me as a thing. You know what? Fuck this. I'm going to go rescue those goddamn hostages.
Fuck this guy, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
We should say there are two medics, Patel and Luo, who do help with the survivors. I just want to give shout outs to our first responders. But yeah, he grabs some masks and he's like, I'm going to get these hostages. He goes after where Company F went and runs right into them.
Yeah, he actually gets pinned down by gunfire in the hallway leading up to where they have all the hostages. Yes.
There was a nice bit in this where he gets shot and like it exposes, you know, the artificial tendons and all of the things we've seen in the movies. And it's like Bishop would have been curious about this if he didn't have shit to do. And then he takes
I believe like a bullet like grazes the back of his hand or something like that.
It like cuts his forearm or something and like cuts him open
like
a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he takes out a can of like spray on skin and just like sprays over it.
He sure does do that. Yeah.
I just really liked that. I don't know why. Space liquid bandage. That's not even
getting a little bit of that Predator tech in this story.
There you go. That's a better reference than mine. I'm going to leave mine in for comparison. Have I mentioned on this podcast that I'm tired? Let's keep going.
So he's getting fired at by Company F.
Yes.
And he hears someone talking about like, oh, that's not a Marine. That's just a synth. You don't need to worry about him. He doesn't have any weapons. And Neil, tell me, who is it that's saying these things?
That would be his quote unquote brother, Rook.
Yeah, he runs into his old pal Rook, which a little rewind when he met up with Rook earlier. Listeners, do you remember when I said none of this stuff matters because none of these characters come back? That was an intentional swerve so that hopefully you didn't see coming when Rook reappears later in the story. So that when I said, oh yeah, none of these characters come back, and then Neil went, yeah, they sure don't. I was so fucking glad that he picked up what I was laying down. I was really worried that he was going to go, well, one of them does. And I was going to go, shit, dude, you spoiled it.
Yeah, it turns out that Rook was damaged on a mission, thrown in the scrap heap, and picked up by Company F and their leader, Key Parker, right? Mm-hmm. And they,
in other words, exactly what Larson was worried was going to happen to him.
Right? Yeah. That's a really good point, actually.
Yeah. Yep.
And I guess they must have reprogrammed him, but it almost seems like they didn't, because they're like, hey, we could use another synthetic. Do you want to join us? We pay better. And then Rook is the one who's like, actually, it's harder. It's more complicated than that. You'll have to reprogram this one.
Yeah, I believe that, like, when I said, oh yeah, you know, that's what Larson was worried about what happened to him, I think they do specifically go out of their way to point out that technically Rook did not actually get reprogrammed.
It sort of makes sense, because if Bishop's been programmed for loyalty to the core, Rook would have been also, but then when the core was not loyal to him, that might have overwritten his programming or something.
They never really go into it. I don't know.
Or maybe because he was damaged, they rebuilt him and were able to like overwrite it in that stage of things. Just
could be
through the rebuilding, or whoever did the rebuilding just did that as well, installed a patch or something.
But yeah, Rook finds out that Bishop is there, and Rook's basically like, don't worry, I'll take care of this guy.
Yeah.
And he goes around the corner and meets with Bishop.
Wait. Before we get to that.
Oh, sorry.
I like the moment where they're like, hey, join Company F. And Bishop says, sure, as long as you release the hostages. And then he starts the countdown.
He sure does. That's right. I forgot about that.
I like the part where he's so dedicated to this mission of saving the hostages that I think he really means it when he says, I will, if you release the hostages, you have 17 seconds. I don't think he's told them that there's going to be an explosion.
He has not.
But I just like that. Like, I believed him. Like, he was going to be like, yeah, whatever saves him. You know, that's what I'm here for. Anyway, so as this countdown is happening, he does ask them what Company F stands for, and they say it stands for fuck you.
They sure do say that. That is correct. Which the thing of it is that's a very funny joke, but based on the way these guys are, I would absolutely believe that it literally actually does mean that.
Sure. I love that. Yeah. Now is when Bishop becomes aware of Rook sort of circling around him, right?
Yep. And the two of them run into each other, and Rook pulls out a fucking knife on him.
Yeah, he does.
And but Bishop gets the drop on him, grabs the knife, and then stabs Rook in the spine.
Yeah, he does.
Which was a scene I really like, because immediately after that, in his internal monologue, he thinks to himself, like, the factual information about what it is that is going to happen to Rook.
Yes.
Now that because he basically got his nerves to the rest of his body severed.
Right.
And so he's like, he's just going to lie there for a while, power cycle a whole bunch. He'll eventually shut down. And then, like, after several generations have passed, he'll just wink out and that will be it forever.
I know.
But he's just going to be lie there blind, mute, and paralyzed for
Unable
like
to move.
80 years, just like 80 years, you know, or whatever. And I was like, God damn, that is hard as hell, dude.
But is this because Bishop doesn't want to kill him, and he's like, but I have to stop him, so I'm just going to like disable him permanently, and then eventually like he'll die the same way he would otherwise, when his battery just lies out. It's not on me at that point, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, because Bishop knows his own weaknesses, so he knows Rook's weaknesses, and he just cuts the right spot, right?
And then he just fucking falls like a sack of potatoes, and that is fucking it for Rook. He's donezo.
It's dope. And I like that Rook was like, these guys aren't programmed for combat, don't worry. And now Bishop is like, hey, just because I wasn't programmed for something doesn't mean I couldn't learn it. And he keeps the knife, right?
He sure does. And he keeps the knife because he walks up to Company F and is like, hello, I am Rook. How are you today? And they're all like, oh, hey, Rook, what's up?
Right. Yes. After he downs Rook, the explosion happens, right?
Oh, that's when it happens? I thought it
Yes.
happened after he arrived. Okay. Gotcha.
No.
Right.
The explosion happens. He had found a safe place up against a wall, and kaboom.
Yeah, I looking through my notes, I apparently forgot to write down when the explosion happened, so I just remembered it as happening like half a scene later, but whatever,
Yeah.
that's fine.
The whole place goes down, the ceiling goes down. He's safe, but all of the Company F people in this area with him are all toast. Because it wasn't all of them, it was just a lot of them, right?
Yeah, he specifically says that like a bunch of them, including some of the hostages, just straight up get like crushed by rubble.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Well, for the hostage part, not the Company F part, because these guys are assholes.
They sure are. They have no redeeming qualities.
Yeah, and it's tough because I also like them shaking down the corporations that are ruining the universe. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I will admit that like how you said earlier that he described their plan as like brilliant or whatever.
Yeah.
I will admit when I read their plan, I was like, damn, that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, but these people are doing it for self-interest, not for like the betterment of the universe, and I think that's
sure.
That's the difference.
My point,
you know?
but my point was just more like if you wanted to get something done, that is a very brutally efficient way to do it.
Right.
I got nothing but respect for the fact that they were able to come up with such an efficient plan.
Yeah,
you know?
and a bold one too, right? Like, no, we're just gonna.
And it works, dude. It works every time. Well, up until now, anyway.
More effective than what the Earthsavers are doing over in Alien Covenant Origins, am I right?
That's true. I don't want to say I knew you were itching to get an Origins reference in there, but like I always just kind of low key, just in the background, always kind of half expect one to come up every time.
I think I'm gonna read that book again just for fun.
Of course you will. So, the explosion happens and he goes up and like meets with like the remnants of Company F that didn't get crushed.
Right. They were in a different location, so they are not privy to what happened between him and Rook. And he's like, "Hey guys, it's me, Rook. What's up?" And they're like, "What's in the bag, Rook?" And he's like, more explosives.
He's like, those explosions that just happened, that was me.
Yeah,
it was these. And
yeah,
they're like,
I
oh,
got
okay,
more
cool.
of them. And he's like, and he sees like more rubble is crashed down in this place. Some of the Company F people are pinned down. Some of the hostages are, etc. And he's like, do you want me to, hey, Key Parker, leader of Company F, do you want me to dig these guys out? And he's like, nah, fuck these guys. Go take that bag of explosives, pretend you're Bishop, get on board the Marine dropship, and then blow it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically giving him a suicide order, right?
Yep.
That Rook probably would have done, but
he absolutely would have done, yeah.
But not Bishop, you know?
Yeah, if I recall, I believe Bishop's response is, okay, also, no, because I'm not Rook.
Yeah.
He just immediately blows his cover right in front of him.
Yes. He's like, well, he buys some time. He's like, oh, the roof's going to cave in, right? And they're like, he's like, you guys all better move. This isn't safe. We learned that I think 3 of the child hostages and 5 of the adult hostages are still alive. So 3 hostages have died. 1 of them a child. That's pretty sad.
Yeah, they don't specifically point that out. In the sense of like they mentioned earlier, they had 4 child hostages, and they mentioned now that there are 3 child hostages.
Right.
You can obviously do the math, but the book does not explicitly state the sentence, one of the child hostages died.
Yeah.
Like,
it doesn't.
the story does not actually say that. So it's one of those things where if you just see numbers and you're like, all right, 5, 3, 4, whatever, like it might not necessarily immediately process in your brain what it was that they just said. Right. They wrote it in a way where they're like one of the child, like one of the children died. But since they don't explicitly say specifically that, it's easy for your brain to just kind of gloss over it. You know,
man. But no, we're doing the sad math over here.
We sure the fuck are.
At this point, this Prevox gas has started to leak into the room, and one of the I guess the leader, Key Parker. I keep wanting to say Cree, man.
That's fine. You can call him Cree. I don't care.
I'm not gonna.
Here's the thing. He's about to die anyway, so it doesn't really matter what you call him.
He runs to like the storage cabinet, the life, with all the life support stuff that's just hanging out there, all the safety gas masks, right?
Yep.
But again, they've been locked down because horrible future. So he grabs a mask, puts it on, tries to breathe, and just breathes in a shit ton of gas.
Yep, you can. The shutdown, the remote shutdown thing. It doesn't prevent the mask from being used. It just prevents it from having any effect.
Right.
So you can still put the mask on, but you're still just like breathing the air outside of the mask.
Yeah.
If the shutdown switch is on, and so he's like, "Oh shit!" puts the mask on, and then just inhales all the gas anyway and dies.
And this is the point where he's like, "Surprise! I'm Bishop. Fuck you. I'm gonna save these other masks. I'm gonna put them on the hostages, and then I will save you too." Right.
Yep. He learns a lesson that will stick with him and come in handy later. Prioritizing assistance in a logical way that just might so happen to accidentally end with the bad guy dead, but he didn't kill him.
It's Batman Begins, right? It's I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you. Except he's like, but I'll save you if I can.
I'll save you if you're still alive by the time I get to you. Would you be surprised to find out he is not alive by the time Bishop gets to him?
He is not, but he does save all of the still living hostages. He gets masks on all of them.
Well, I'll say he does get masks on all of them, and I believe he has to take them out 2 at a time, if I recall.
It does look like some of the people he intended to save with those masks were already dead, so he didn't save all of them technically.
And he didn't end up using all of the masks he brought. But yeah, he's making these multiple trips out to load people on because, like, when he gets back to where the Marines were, of course, they had already flown away. But I believe they say they flew away because of, like, unstable ground or something.
Right.
But they did leave a drop ship behind for him.
Yeah.
Which is key. So he gets up and loads them onto the dropship, runs back, makes that run a couple of times. And then on his third trip back into the mines or whatever it was, 2 of the hostages that he had put masks on are just lying there dead without masks on.
Yeah, this is when he returns back from his third trip. 2 of the hostages are dead. They don't have masks. And then he gets shot. Right in the back.
Yep. And he collapses. And I believe this is where his little mini monologue about, like, this is what it feels like to hurt, if I recall.
Dying is painful.
And turns out that 2 of the Company F soldiers that had gotten caught in the rubble weren't actually crushed. They had gotten caught in like a little like air bubble pocket.
Yes.
And were able to push their way out. And they happened to push their way out like while he was out with that second group of hostages. So they saw this third pair and they're like, well, fuck these guys. Took the masks on him, put the masks on, and the hostages died. Then they just waited for him to come back so they could shoot him.
Yeah, it's fucking cruel. An air pocket being that tight, them being able to get out of it, get to the mask, like realize what was happening, get to the mask, get them on, all that kind of stuff. Stretches the logic a little bit, but I buy it enough.
The timeline doesn't really work, but it's not so far afield that I'm like, come on. I was just like, all right.
Yeah, it's fine. It gets a pass. It's believable enough, right?
And then you know how I mentioned earlier that he learns a lesson about how he is able to not kill people by prioritizing other stuff. And if they happen to die, then they just happen to die.
Yes.
Well, immediately after learning that lesson, he straight up literally just kills these 2 guys.
He does. He realizes in this prioritizing like mindset that he has that if he lets these people leave, they will go to the dropship, they will kill all of the hostages, and then he will not have saved any of them. So he
remotely links into their safety lock linked masks.
Yes.
And just remotely turns them off.
He hacks their Alexa masks and tells them to stop.
Dude, that is so fucking funny. I just like he's like, oh man, I can't kill these people even if they're bad guys. And then literally the next scene, he's like, I'm killing these guys.
Yeah.
It is so funny. Like when I found out, because how you even said earlier, how you were like, this tech didn't really work for me. When I was reading the story, I was like, it's kind of dumb, but whatever. And then when I found out that the reason that tech was dumb was so they could Chekhov's gun it back in the climax, to kill the two guys, I was like, are you shitting me, dog?
I mean, like I hate the concept of the tech, but I also believe it to be something that would exist, right? Like,
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I love what happens here, and I am willing to let it have happened earlier in the story, like that information to be set up. I'm okay with having that happen. It's like your theory about Jurassic World. I'm okay with having a bunch of dumb shit happen if it leads to a cool climax that's fun to watch. I'm okay with them going, oh yeah, you can just like remotely turn off these masks for like no reason, whatever.
You're gonna love
stupid,
Deep Rising when you watch it.
Like when that happens, I'm like, fine, whatever. Because, well, I didn't know that at the time, but as it turns out, the reason I was okay with it then, I was able to brush it aside, was because they fucking bring it back so that he can use it to fucking kill him at the end of the story. I'm like, hot damn, Bishop, I love you, man.
But again, technically, he's like, all I did was turn the masks off. I mean, if you squint, I didn't really kill. I prioritized, right?
His internal monologue explanation is that he's programmed to not kill people, but then he decided to reprogram himself.
Right. But he still justifies it with, I didn't kill anyone. If I let these guys go, other people would die. That would be me that would be me killing these other people. So it's like a conflict. It's like a Kobayashi Maru, right?
He used the same justification to turn their masks off that he did in the previous scene when he's like, I'll get to you last and hope you're still alive by then. Yeah. It's like he prioritized saving other people's lives before them, you know?
Right. Yeah. Because again, I mean, there was the chance that they wouldn't have died from this somehow. They could have gotten out of the zone. Who knows? I mean,
that is the justification he tells himself to be okay with turning their masks off. Right. Yes, that's correct.
It does raise a question of like, okay, you know, he says, I think they say it in this, and he definitely says in Aliens that he is unable to harm or by mission of action allow to be harmed another human. Mm-hmm. Just another human, not, you know, like, not like another good guy or another hostage or whatever. Like it applies across the board. This does conflict with that. Which means,
it sure does.
Which means, was he lying in Aliens? If this is considered canon, which we're not claiming it is, but even if this isn't canon, if this is in like an alternate universe canon, right? Does that make Bishop a liar?
Maybe. I don't know.
Did he lie? Because it was Ash who said, I can't lie about your chances, right?
It was, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. But also, well, I guess Ash wasn't really programmed the same way because he hurt a lot of people on purpose. He stuffed magazines down people's throats.
He definitely did straight up murder people. That is correct.
So yeah, not a good comparison. Maybe just a thing to think about, right? It's the only thing in this story aside from the naming, which whatever is like this kind of conflicts something in Aliens, but it's so fucking minor and like you can brush it away, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Maybe he got like readjusted when he got back. You know, who knows? Anyway.
After he kills these two guys, the same thing that he was thinking about would happen to Rook happens to him. Because like he got shot in the back, so he can't really move. He's lying there, fluids gushing out of him. And he just kind of goes, well, you know, I'm going to remote link to the dropship and have it zip away. And then as soon as it flies away, he just kind of goes, cool. And then collapses and shuts off like he was thinking about what happened to Rook.
Yeah.
Except.
That's an interesting. I like that. I like that parallel, you know?
See, it's funny because when I was writing down my notes, I was just like, oh, like, you know, he collapses and powers down or whatever. Like, it wasn't until right as I was saying it right now that I was like, oh, he was talking about how that would happen to Rook, and now it's happening to him. Yeah. Like, I didn't notice that parallel until I was saying it out loud right now, even though I wrote it down in my notes yesterday.
That's the quality insights you all come to Crew Expendable for. That's
right.
And us talking about Persona and Yakuza games for 30 minutes.
For half an hour straight. Yeah, every episode seemingly.
Constantly reaffirming my position on the Sony PlayStation on this podcast. Anyway,
we should definitely just have that be like a segment on the show from now on. We do it often enough. We should just canonize it from now on, you know?
Yeah. I think. Yeah.
But anyway, Like I said, he just powers down and lies there. And then suddenly he wakes up.
He does.
And Neil, who's fingering him when he wakes up?
Weird choice of words for this.
I did it specifically as a joke because when he wakes up, there's a pair of hands fishing around, connecting wires together in his back.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It is Sergeant Apone, right?
It sure is.
Yeah, man. And he's like, look into my eye, which is a line he said in Aliens that he does not say in this book, but it's always in my brain somewhere.
Yeah, he wakes up and Sergeant Apone is standing there talking to him. Hudson gets a little crack in on the side, and Apone's like, shut your trap or whatever.
Hudson, you secure that shit, Hudson. That's a line from the movie. He doesn't say that in this either, but you get it.
And the two of them are kind of joking around, and Apone basically says, yeah, our old synth got destroyed or, shipped off or whatever it was that happened to it. But it got destroyed, basically. It's not there anymore. And so we got a word that there was still a good synthetic that just needed some minor repairs. So we flew by and picked you up. And now you're here with us. And he goes, cool.
Specifically, Bishop asks where Lieutenant Larson is, and Apone's like, he was reassigned, but he told us to check out this place for you. Mm-hmm. Like he told us that on Haarsa there might still be a salvageable synth. So yeah, we got you. And then he's like, you're not one of those A2 models, right? Which is a reference to the aliens, right? When he's like, no, I'm 4 generations later, I'm a D4, right?
Yeah.
But my designation ends in D5. That's confusing, and Neil doesn't understand that, but who cares?
It's fine.
That he said that in the novel. Neil doesn't understand this, but who cares? It's weird that I was in there, but
yeah, he knew somehow, but it's fine.
Because in Aliens, right, when Ripley freaks out because there's a synth on board, he asks, like, was it one of the older models? And that was a Hyperdyne Systems, right? Ash was a Hyperdyne Systems model.
I believe so, yeah.
But I think he says the A2s always were a little twitchy, doesn't he?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but that seems likely. That does sound vaguely familiar, so probably, but I don't remember for sure.
I could be remembering it wrong. Hit us up. The emails and the Instagrams and whatever else is.
And we'll also tell you at the end of the episode.
But yeah, now he's just a part of this Marine squad. And Hudson is like, hey man, you ever play 5-Finger Fillet? Right?
He sure is.
Right?
And Bishop's like, nope. And Hudson's like, here, I'll show you how to do it.
Pulls out a knife. This is the knife game, right?
Uh-huh.
This is the This is the origin of the knife game. And Hudson's like, you're gonna love this. And Bishop's like, I do. And as Bishop is 5-finger filleting, right, he's thinking about how he's broken. How Dr. Sasaki's finger hovered over her data tablet, ready to send him to the recycling bin. And he's like, man, maybe I've always been broken. But he's happy about it. Mm-hmm. What do you think of this story?
I thought it was pretty fun.
I liked it a lot, too.
You probably liked it more than me, because I wouldn't say I liked it a lot. I thought it was fun, but like, to be honest, even though it's kind of like Bishop's origin story, it felt very like minor to me.
Sure.
Like, not a whole lot really happened. The climax isn't really very climactic.
Right.
Like, not a whole lot actually really happens over the course of the story. And so it definitely did feel like, oh, this is very much a short story, not like a part of like a larger story or whatever. It's like, this is just like a little footnote blip kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like a very like minor thing, but like, I had a lot of fun with it. I really liked the opening scenes of like him waking up and meeting the other bishops and getting shipped out. And like, I really liked how, just all throughout the story, like I mentioned earlier, the narrative is written in such a way where it's like you get a sense of like how his thought patterns operate.
Yes.
And like why he thinks the things that he thinks in given situations, and like, how capable he is at doing things, and like a good sense of how he is different, but not different enough to not still be the character we already know, you know?
Sure. I mean, I agree with all of that. You're right. Not a whole lot happens in this story, but the stuff that does like the stuff that I found really interesting were those things of him, like the way he was processing information, calculating things in nanoseconds, the way he was questioning and identifying the specific emotions he was feeling in
For sure.
different moments, like when he does turn the masks off for those last two space pirates. He expresses that he felt guilt, the same thing he sort of felt when he put down Rook, you know. I like that exploration, and I like the insight into like a synthetic sort of processing how to emulate human behavior.
Yeah, he has to like figure out what he's looking at in his data bank.
Yeah.
And then process which one of the options he has is like the appropriate response. But it happens so quickly that it's the same as if it were just like a natural reaction that a human would give to that situation, you know?
Yeah.
It's fun.
And like, you know, we all know that I'm pretty into like the David and Walter stuff. I really liked the portrayal of Dayton and all of, you know, most of how the synthetics have been portrayed in the Marvel comics in general. And who was and Eldon, right? In Fire and Stone. Like, I do like this aspect of the franchise. So yeah, this was appealing to me and some of my specific interests within this franchise. And I thought it was I thought it was written very well. I thought all of those things were like written really well, and I was able to understand them and everything.
Yeah, me too. That I will definitely say that the writing is my favorite part about it. And I will agree with you that as far as just like the structure of the story in general, my favorite part about it was like, you know, reading how his thought processes operated and like, you know, seeing how his like the way his responses are portrayed based on external stimuli. Like, you know, the thing, basically what I'm saying is the thing that you said you liked best about the story was also my favorite part of the story.
Yeah. And I think the rest of the story had to be kept small in terms of number of events that were happening so that the writing had room to explore all of these things, you know? Like,
because that's the point of the story, not the actual plot, you know?
I could see something like this being expanded into a full-length novel where this kind of processing and stuff is happening at the beginning and it's tapering off as the rest of the book goes on, you know?
Yeah.
This was a good foundation for something like that. I was into it. Yeah, I don't know. I just liked it. And like, you know,
I thought it was good.
We're jumping into like another story about a character from Aliens, right? Like we're about to jump into it. So I do want to do a little bit of comparison at the end of our discussion about this one, about which story is better in terms of like how it has built on an already established character and their history.
For sure.
This story is called Reclamation. And it is written by Yvonne Navarro.
Which, by the way, little fun fact, Yvonne Navarro, this is not the first thing she has written for the Alien franchise.
No, it is not, Kenny. Do you want to say what it was?
I'm bringing it up right now as we speak. I'm stalling for time so that I can open the book and see specifically what the title of it is.
I have it in front of me. I'm going to steal it from you.
You beat me to it. Go ahead then.
Yvonne Navarro wrote the novelization adaptation of the Dark Horse comic series Aliens: Music of the Spears.
There we go.
So no stranger to the Alien universe. Also, no stranger to the Buffyverse.
Ooh.
I don't think it'll surprise anybody in the chat to hear that I am a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan.
You sure are.
Yvonne Navarro has written 7 novels set in the Buffyverse. I have not read these. I have read some Buffy novels. She did a series about Willow called the Wicked Willow trilogy, as it's called. A book called Tempted Champions. A few others. I'm not going to read them all. There's 7 of them. Okay. Yvonne also wrote the novelizations of a few movies, Kenny, including Species, Species 2, Ultraviolet, which I cannot believe got a novelization.
If you had said, I will give you $100, did Ultraviolet get a novelization? I would have confidently said no.
That must have been the last one written, because they just sort of stopped doing those after a while.
I cannot remember the last time I saw a novelization of a movie.
I want to say if they started doing those again, I would buy so many of them. I do love that as a genre of. I don't know, some man, the Mortal Kombat, the 95 novelization, there's all kinds of weird shit in that didn't make it into the movie because it was based on an earlier version of the script, similar to, I guess, like the Dark Horse Alien 3 series, not the Gibson one, but the movie adaptation one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I love that stuff. She also wrote the Elektra novelization of the Jennifer Garner movie.
Yeah.
And Kenny, maybe you've read this, probably not. She did the novelization of the first Hellboy movie.
I have not read it, no.
Well, you're going to have to. Aren't you a Hellboy fan? Come on.
I don't think I even knew there was a novelization of the Hellboy movie because I always just assumed the book adaptation of the movie was, the comic book series that it was based off of.
Well, maybe that was the last movie tie-in novelization. Oh,
I think Ultraviolet came out after Hellboy did.
You're probably right. She also did a novelization for Supernatural, The Usual Sacrifices.
Supernatural, since this is it'll take like 5 seconds to do.
Sure.
I have seen that. I watched the first episode and then went, and then didn't watch any more of it.
I think I saw the first season of it. It's always been one of those things where I'm like, I'd probably like that for a while anyway. But I'm just not gonna.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now that even if I did like it, I did not like it enough to watch 14 seasons of it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a hell of a lot.
Man.
So anyway, Reclamation by Yvonne Navarro.
Yes.
We are, again, like we talked about in the last story, talking about more characters from the Aliens movie.
That's
the
right.
movie Aliens is what I meant to say.
Sure.
And not only is Hicks the main character of this story, but we're starting off the story strong by inventing some backstory for him.
Yeah, we are. Dwayne Hicks, right?
Yeah.
You know him. You love him.
You know who else loves him? His wife.
You mean Private First Class Rachel Miller? Sorry.
I sure do.
Hyphenate Rachel Miller Hicks.
Well, her name was not hyphen Hicks before they got married, Neil.
Sure. No, I know, but I did.
It definitely feels like we're doing a vaudeville bit right now, but I promise it was entirely accidental.
Hold on. There's a giant cane reaching in from off stage to pull me off of it right now.
So, yeah, folks, turns out our pal, Corporal Dwayne Hicks, was married to a Rachel Miller. I believe the book says they got married like 8 weeks after they met or something like that.
Yes. And again, that is Private First Class Rachel Miller, also a Marine. And it opens up with Dwayne being like, he never thought he'd marry a Marine, but then he married a Marine.
Yeah, and their meet cute was when Rachel stabbed a knife through the hand of a guy who grabbed her ass.
That's
and
right.
By the way, I want to be clear, Hicks was not the ass guy.
Hicks was not the ass guy. I believe the book puts it more delicately and says he ran his fingers down her backside or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But a guy grabbed her ass and she pulled out his knife and ran it through his hand. His other hand was like on the table. And I just want to make it clear to everyone that that ass guy that just got his hand stabbed, only time he ever shows up, we never find out his name. No. We never find out anything else about him. This is literally the only thing he knows about him is that he grabbed the butt of Hicks's future wife, and that's how they met.
Maybe there's a story in this later on where
it's done from his perspective.
We find out it was Hudson who did it, and this is what got him into Five Finger Fillet because he got stabbed in the hand with a knife.
And he's like, "Oh shit! What if we did that but missed next time?
I got to learn how to dodge this, right?"
That rules. I love it.
Yeah, the proper wording is a guy who'd run his palm down the curve of her uniformed backside. Jesus Christ. And then it says, how could he not fall in love with a woman like that?
Yeah.
You know.
And I want to be clear, when he says fall in love with a woman like that, he does not mean fall in love with a woman with a big ass. He means fall in love with a woman who sticks her knife through a guy's hand.
We're not going to spend any more time on this, but we don't know the size of the ass in question. We
don't. That is correct.
So,
I am editorializing.
Okay.
That is correct. Yes.
All right. Kenny's preferences are leaking out onto the podcast, just all over the place, guys. So they get married. They get married, and they are the only concession to their status, right? They got the approval of their first sergeant. Is that they get to be stationed together. That's it, right? So they can stay together, right?
I believe they're also given a couple of rank promotions as well.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was
I didn't know if that was necessarily like part of it, but I kind of assumed it was as like a reason in the hierarchy to be able to like allow them to bunk together, you know?
Maybe it is
because
written,
like that way, since they're like both are similar to each other, they're allowed to be in like similar quarters or whatever. I don't know, but
it is. It says they each got 2 rank promotions and spent 11 great months with each other before Rachel's squad got sent on a mission. So it may or may not be related. I'm inclined to believe it was unrelated. They're just good soldiers, I guess.
You also just, I don't want to say glossed over, but just mentioned in passing another important point. They got married 8 weeks after they met, and then they were together for 11 months before the rest of the story happened.
Yes.
Which means they knew each other for less than a year before the rest of the story takes place.
Hey, when you know, though, right?
That's true.
Yeah, so she is sent on a mission, her squad. She's not in the same squad as Hicks. Same company, different squad, right?
Yep.
To investigate a moon believed to be hiding pirated spacecraft. Now, is this pirated spacecraft in the manner of like pirated software, where it is like stolen and I don't know, cracked or whatever to function?
I would say they used a Juarez to crack the ship.
You wouldn't download a spacecraft.
That's correct. You would not.
Or is this like spacecraft that pirates use, like Company F would use?
I mean, I assumed it was the second one, but they never really go into it. So
a lot of themes. So both of these stories pulling back characters from Aliens, both featuring some reference to space piracy, and both of them have knives and hands.
They sure do.
Man, I meant to say this earlier. I really wish Bishop had, instead of stabbing Rook with a knife, had pulled a flute out of nowhere.
Of course you do. In retrospect, I cannot believe I did not expect you to say that.
Or just pretend I've inserted that into the previous story. Let's get back to
I
this
will,
one.
don't worry. She gets sent out on her ship, the Paradox.
Sure.
And she sends, there's like a scene okay.
Hold on. Pirated spacecraft, Paradox. Is this a Pirates of Penzance reference in this story?
I mean, my gut says no, but that doesn't mean the answer actually is no.
All right. Email us. Come on, other crew spendable time. Let's get back to the story.
But yeah,
there is Pirates
a scene
of Penzance fans in the Alien fandom. Come on. Let's hear
well, I
from
mean,
you.
there's at least one, considering you just made the reference.
I just know it. I'm not a fan. All right. Somebody email Yvonne Navarro and ask her.
There is a scene here that I will admit I did think was very cute.
Yes.
And it is a montage of, because like Hicks basically says, some guy as low of rank as me, there's nothing to do but just drink and fuck around.
Right.
So while she's out on the mission, I go home, and now admittedly the story is not written in first person, but whatever. Yeah. He's like, I go home every night because she sends me like a little video message, because it takes I think 12 hours to get there or something
like that. Yeah.
So he can't talk to her live. So she just records a video message and just sends it to him every day. Yeah. And so he's like, I got to be home to watch this video message from my great, cute, awesome wife. And like I said, I thought the scene was very cute. There's just a montage of him like getting all these videos and like fawning over her and watching the videos over and over and over and over again. And it was very cute.
Yeah, he doesn't want to party. He doesn't want to go out and get in trouble. He wants to go home so he can see her transmissions like as soon as they come in, because it takes time and it's one way. He can't send her any, but she can send them, right?
I also really liked how while he was watching all of these videos, he has like it's not like a monologue. It's just you can put together a group of information from he'll say one thing here, then one thing here, then one thing here, and you can put them all together. Yeah. And he's basically like talking about how like, you know, she's the quickest one to react. She has the coolest head. She's the best shot. She's just all around the most rad babe in the entire Colonial Marines. And like, I thought it was very funny because it was extremely tell, don't show. Right. Like we know all of these things about him because Hicks is like, man, my wife is so cool. We don't actually see her doing any of these things. We find it out because he tells us, and I thought it was very funny.
And I mean, he's in love with her, right? And this is like it's literally how he sees her. Just said to us, you know. I mean,
here's the thing. For all I know, that could be correct. You know, maybe she is the best shot in her squad. Sure. Who knows? But the reason we're being told that is because Hicks is in love with her, not necessarily because it's literally true. And so I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it does shortcut us into believing that they're in love, you know? Mm-hmm. I buy it. Like I read that and I buy it. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, you know, this is, the only version of her we meet is the version that Hicks has in his mind.
Yeah, she's almost never actually on screen. All of the information we ever really get about her is from Hicks, like, thinking about her.
Right. Two things. I like that they talk about him coming home, showering, and sitting in front of the television until the comm program chimes when the message comes in. Because, remember how television was such a huge deal in Outbreak?
I sure do.
Yeah, and that was a Hicks story. So clearly a reference to that.
Clearly.
And the other thing, I don't think I remember, but here it is. Yes. So in this message where she's like, "Hey, baby," when she is finally down on the surface of this moon, right? Mm-hmm. They haven't found anything, but they've located a ship's beacon. She says, not sure if it's a valid vessel or pirated. So this is pirated like software.
That's a good point. I don't think I noticed that when I read it.
Yeah, I didn't either. By the way, I should say I listened to the audiobook version of these because, again, I've been very busy. I listened to both of them probably 3 times today.
All right.
And I have the book open in front of me now.
I assume each of them were only like 25 minutes long or something.
They were like 38 and 40 something minutes. They weren't super long. Maybe they were both in like the 30, 38 minute range. But yeah, I just listened to them a few times. Anyway, I like in this message, this is where we start seeing that something's going on, because she literally says there's something hinky about this place. Hinky is a word I think we should use more often.
It's a good one.
It's a fun word. I don't hear it enough. But she says this thing like, sometimes it feels like the shadows are moving, right? There's no mountains, there's no atmosphere. Nothing is really alive out here from what we can tell. But sometimes the shadows are like moving out of the corner of your eye, you know?
Yeah, she describes the shadows as like following them when they're moving around, yeah.
Everything leading up to that, like they are teasing xenomorphs so hard in this story.
They sure are.
You know, the last story didn't even try. The last story, no alien creatures at all, you know, capital A or lowercase a. This one really wants you thinking about xenomorphs as you read it.
Yeah, this one is very heavily implying without outright stating xenomorphs, and there is a very specific narrative reason why they do that.
Yes.
So yeah, basically she's on the planet and like her last message gets sent. Well, of course they don't know at the time that it's the last message.
No.
But like when the message is sent, the narrative is like, that's the last time Hicks ever saw his wife.
This was kind of like, I was like, I don't know if this is, I understand we need to get the information to him, but she's just in this message straight up like, hey, I shouldn't be doing this because we're under attack and I really shouldn't be taking time to make this recording.
Yep. But we're being attacked by these weird, lumbering, huge black things, and we don't know what they are.
Yes.
And they're killing everyone. And then she while she turns around to fire her gun, Hicks sees a large black creature run in front of the camera quickly enough that he can't get like a good shot on it. And then also right after that, he, as you like to say, Neil, we get a classic scree.
We do get a classic scree. I don't think it's written as that, is it?
It is literally described like it is a noise that is literally described as sounding like nails on a chalkboard.
Sure, that's pretty scree-ish. I think later it's described as like a hyena mixed with an elephant.
Mixed with an elephant, yeah. I also notated that as a classic scree as well.
Sure.
But yeah, they don't physically make the sound that is literally SKREEE, but they make a sound that is obviously intended to, if not be a scree, remind us of a scree.
We're supposed to be thinking scree at this point for sure.
Because again, I want to make it clear that the story extremely heavily implies xenomorphs, but very specifically does not outright state xenomorphs.
Man, I thought I had a good...
That is very important to what happens later.
Maybe what these monsters are screaming is Key, which is the name of the guy who runs Company F.
Oh shit, it all ties together. This is actually a novel, not a short story collection. Fuck.
You know that movie, or that Robert E. Howard character, Cole the Conqueror?
I do.
Okay. I just have to say this. Again, I apologize, everyone. It's late and I'm tired. The Scree-Cole War.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
I love it.
Somebody out there got that.
Maybe we should use that as the clip.
I don't think so. I mean, if we want to lose subscribers.
Hey, it was funny. Made me laugh.
Yeah. So she's in the middle of recording this message. They're under attack actively. There's gunfire in the background. This monster runs by. She goes to fire it. She goes down, right? Something huge and dark rolls across the view of the camera, and Rachel leapt away. More gunfire, more shouts, etc., and then nothing, right? And then a few minutes later, a hand reaches up. Hicks recognizes the wedding band on the finger as Rachel's as the hand slams the send button.
And I want to make it clear that the reason for the listeners, the reason he's able to recognize her wedding ring is because that he specifically states they got matching rings, so he's wearing the same one.
Oh yeah, good, important detail.
I mean, it's not, but that's how he's able to tell it's her.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. I think it's important, but hey.
And then
I just said Scree-Cole War a minute ago, so who am I to judge anything?
And then we smash cut to 5 years later.
5 years later. Someone hadn't been paying attention, right?
Yep.
Because Hicks just got some orders that he's got.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm fumbling.
All right. Okay. He receives new orders to ship out and go on a mission. And that mission, he immediately recognizes the moment he sees the orders, is it's to recover parts from the ship that Rachel was on when she died.
The Paradox.
And this is significant because as the narrative goes out of its way to stress, the narrative itself is like, I cannot stress how much somebody royally fucked up here. Some ass is getting kicked for this if they find out.
100%.
Because absolutely make no mistake, he should not be going on this mission. He even says that it's like, it is insane, 1 in a billion chance. What are the chances that he ever would have gotten this? Because what Hicks believes happens is that somebody, some dumb PFC or whatever that filed this paper, forgot to add the crew manifest of the Paradox to it.
Yes.
Because if it had, his name would have immediately gotten flagged and he never would have even found out that they were going there. But since they forgot to put it, some clerical error or whatever. It just arrived in his hands,
Yes.
which is significant because for the last 5 years, he's been trying to find out what happened to his wife.
Right.
And he keeps getting the runaround. He keeps getting stonewalled. Nobody will give him any answers. And finally, a few months prior, he had finally decided to let it go.
Yeah.
And just as soon as he lets it go, they're like, you're going to see your wife's body. And he's like, oh shit. Because they do specifically point out that he's absolutely 100% sure that she's dead. He doesn't have any hope that she's alive, which is also another thing that I like. He's not like, oh man, maybe she's been hiding out for the last 5 years. He's like, I hope I find her corpse.
This is, he's gone through all this red tape. Everyone has seen footage of the attack. Like, he's shown it to, it's not like they're hiding it, right? People have seen this. They know that he's seen this. The big thing, and he's always asking for more information. They won't give it to him. They say it's need to know. And he's like, well, it's my wife. I need to know. Yeah. And he's gotten 3 NJPs for insubordination. I don't know what an NJP is.
Neither do I.
But he's gotten 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he got, his first sergeant or someone got him out of it a bunch of times, but then they're like, no, you that's your third time's your third strike, right? We can't do anything else for you. You got to chill the fuck out.
Yeah, that is ultimately the reason why, the narrative says that's the reason why he lets it go and decides to just accept it and stop looking, because they're he got 3 of them and his sergeant was able to get him out of all 3. But after the third one, the sergeant's like, I'm not doing this again.
Right.
So you need to fucking stop. And he's like, all right, fine. And, but yeah, like I said, one thing I really liked about this is that he's very much is make no mistake, I am 100% aware she is fucking dead as hell.
Right.
I do like that. I like how he's not pretending to try to hold on to hope. He is being a realist. He's a Marine. He knows what this job entails. He's not kidding himself about this, I
want to go into a little bit of the things they've said to him or what the official story is, right? The investigation into the event sort of rules that the crew was hijacked and the ship was brought down by superior firepower and it was stripped of usable parts. The crew is presumed dead, but it requires 7 years to pass before they would be declared dead. So they're still just technically missing in action. Yep. He wants, he's trying to get people to go and recover the bodies or something so he can bury his wife. Right. Mm-hmm. And they're like, it's too expensive for us to do that. We're not going to, And
presumably that's a big part of the reason why he kept getting those NJPs.
Yeah. So bottom line is he just hasn't had any proper closure. He knows she's dead, but she's not being honored. She's being, considered missing in action for at least a couple of more years. She can't be. Yeah. It's just bad. He just wants some closure, man. It's his wife. Right. And
so when this order suddenly comes through his desk, he's like, oh no, this is real bad. I should not have gotten this. Someone fucked up. Oh no.
Yeah, I think he says there was no mention of bodies the date of the first mission or names that was just withheld from the mission reporting, when this went out for recruitment's not the right word, but you know what I mean. Assignment. There we go. Yeah. And because it's a short, it leaves in 8 days. So it's short. It's short notice. And he knows well, this is probably why I was selected for this. I'm not a family man. My wife is missing in action. I can just up and leave it at short notice. So that's probably why I got picked for this. Hell yeah. I'm going to go find my wife. I wish we were leaving tomorrow.
And then he teams up with a whole bunch of Marines that he very specifically is stated he's never met any of them before, doesn't know who any of them are.
Yeah, it seems like this is not a standard squad. This is a squad assembled from who was available, maybe. Some of them know each other, right?
That's what it seems like. Yeah, some of them do, but yeah, he had never met any of them before. And they're on the ship. They come out of cryo. Their gunnery sergeant is named Maxwell, and he's ordering them around. And Neil, I have a question for you.
Sure.
You are extremely sensitive to this kind of thing. And that's not an insult once you find out what it is I'm going to ask.
Fuck you.
But there's like, they're waking up, they're getting dressed, they're having meals and stuff while they're like prepping to go down to the planet.
Sure.
So let me ask you,
Yes.
you are extremely sensitive, especially in stories like this, to shitty marine dialogue.
Oh, okay. Here.
Would you say this is a shitty marine dialogue?
First, I want to say the reason I said fuck you is because there's a point in this where whoever's taking roll call says Neza's name wrong as Niza and is corrected. And I was like,
that does happen.
Yeah.
Listeners, for the record, she says it's pronounced Nez.
Sure. Okay. See, I even fucked that up. And I thought you were picking on me for
getting
getting names wrong all the time.
He says Niza, and she's like, Sarge, well, not Sarge, Corporal, it's Nez. And he's like, oh, I like her. Someone willing to stand up for herself to her superiors. Excellent.
Okay.
I'm going to get along well with her. So yeah, her name is Nez, but it's spelled Niza.
I do want to say I feel seen in that moment as someone who is like fumbling over names constantly, especially when I'm reading the comic book credits. I retract my fuck you.
I'm going to be completely honest.
Yes.
Your read of what I was about to say, right, that you just pointed out right there, that never fucking occurred to me and never would have in a million years. Like, I don't want to say I completely forgot that moment even happened in the story, but I never in a million years would have connected it to you theoretically having that problem. I was like, oh, he saw Niza and didn't know how to spell it or say it, whatever. It's fine. He never met her before. How would he know?
That's just my insecurities coming out again.
So yeah, you've said before you have a sensitivity to shitty, bad marine dialogue. Would you say that? Would you say this is shitty or not? And this isn't me like teeing you up so you can go, oh, it obviously very much is. I didn't have a problem with it. I was wondering if you did.
I was thinking about this. I should have known you were going this direction because I was thinking about this and wanted to bring this up in the episode. This is middling. This is borderline bad, but ultimately I'm fine with it all. A couple moments. The moment where the guy was like, the money and the time on this mission is tighter than the bikini you don't fit into anymore from high school. That was a lot. That was the line I read that made me decide to write this question down. Yes, that is correct. Yeah, that was terrible. I hated that. But then some of the other lines, like when PFC Laugh wants to take a shower and he's like, you can shower next month. We got a job to do. That was good. I liked that. That was believable because they're on a tight time frame, right?
Neil, very quickly, I'd like to send you a partial screenshot from my notes for this part of the episode.
Yes.
Listeners, so you know, I literally wrote down in my notes, gotta ask him if this counts as quote unquote shitty marine dialogue.
Yeah, overall, no, it didn't, because there wasn't a whole lot of it either, right?
There wasn't. The bikini line was really the only one that stood out to me.
That was fucking terrible. That was so unnatural. Nobody would ever say that. It was
too long and clunky to work as a quip.
Right. That's it. You know, that's the problem with this.
Like if rather than saying, oh, it's tighter than that bikini you used to wear in high school that you can no longer fit into, he could have just said, you know, tighter than your favorite bikini when you were younger or whatever. Like it's just too long. It's too clunky. It takes too many steps to get to the point to work as a joke.
There's also a much more vulgar way they could have gone with that joke, and I'm glad they didn't. Right.
And I do appreciate, though, that she gives some kind of quip back in response. I don't remember exactly what it is.
She says,
but she's like,
the hell I don't fit in it still, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Where she's like, yeah, shut the fuck up. Just like how Vasquez is in the movie. She does that same kind of thing.
The rest of this dialogue, it really is. I mean, like, they're counting out time. We're down to 56 minutes, etc. Hicks is doing roll call, right? That scene is nice because he's like, Trexler, yeah. And he's like, Laugh, I already know you're fine. Addison. And then he's like, I got you. Schmid, Strand. Like, he knows the people who he sees and are talking. Like, I like that that's worked into the dialogue. that he's like, yeah, I know you guys are here and you guys are here. The rest of you who I haven't heard from, you need to sound off. Like,
Yep.
That's, the way this would go. Like, they're not going to follow strict procedure of everyone. I have to say every name and I have to wait for everyone to respond.
And this is the part that I teased at earlier on in the episode, where a character literally just lists a name of every single character in the story. This is the one. Hicks is calling roll call, and we do literally see him go through the entire list of everyone.
Yes, I am not going to read it here. And then I like, when Haggerty's like, weapons, and Hicks just says absolutely, and then looks at the gunny sergeant, and then the guy doesn't contradict him, and he's like, always. Like, it's quick. It shows that they know what they're doing in this situation. It shows that Hicks is like doing a good job of being present for the mission and everything. I don't know, like, I think it worked overall. Just that one bikini line was bad. While we're on the subject, I remember the dialogue in the stories we read from here last time, the Marine dialogue, also being pretty okay.
I don't remember much of the specifics about it, but I do remember thinking that dialogue was pretty no nonsense. There wasn't really a lot of like camaraderie style joking between them. Like, all of the dialogue in that story was pretty much just advancing the plot. So I'm not surprised the dialogue was fine, because they didn't really have them joke that much.
Right. I have a line highlighted here in the ebook that I made it a point to highlight when I opened this up, which is so far Hicks had done a badass job of hiding his emotions.
He sure has. That is one way to put it.
Just wild to see that in print, wild to hear it in the audiobook. But I like this next part as they're like making their descent, if we're ready to move on to that, where
I didn't have anything else.
You remember the cameras everyone had in Aliens that like on the monitor also showed their vital signs. I like that plays into this, because there's many mentions of this where Hicks is like, shit, my vitals are betraying me. And Gunny Max.
It happens at least 3 times over the course of the story.
Yeah. And Gunny Max is like, Hicks, what's up with you? Your vitals are through the roof, right?
And he like doesn't want to let on that it's because his wife is there. And so he's like, oh, I'm just excited for adventure, boss. Don't worry.
Yeah. And he's like, and they're on the drop now, right? There was a nice line also where the Gunny was like, no fucking free flying in here, you guys. Everyone strap in. And so he's asking if he's like, you're going to pass out on me, thinking it's from the drop. And Hicks is like, not this year. And then, they land on the planet. The doors open. Everyone's out. We get an infiltration scene, right? Well, not really yet.
Well, I mean, we get an infiltration scene in the sense of we get a scene of them entering the ship.
I guess
which they do
exfiltrating the dropship and infiltrating the ship, right?
Yeah, which they do figure out when they land. There's like, since they're on, I think they are on a moon.
Yes, it's a small moon.
There's no atmosphere, there's no wind, there's nothing like that. Right. So the air is just dead.
Yeah.
And there's no light. And so they crank on their floodlights. And after like not that far out, the light just dissipates because of how dead everything is, which I thought was a cool touch.
Hicks sort of splits people up into recon groups and a couple people with him to sort of, spread out and flank and this and that, military stuff. They are, I believe, in EVA suits of some type. I imagine I imagine they're in ape suits, because I like those.
But yeah, they are in like hermetically sealed suits, and they find out very quickly that the ship they are approaching and is right there.
Right.
Is the Paradox.
Yeah, they're following a signal of just some metal somewhere. Right.
And they discover that because because based on the readings we get, the ship is either really, really big or broken up into pieces. And so they find out that the ship is just really big. Turns out it's the Paradox. And so this is another instance in the narrative of like suddenly his heart rate spiking, and Max is like, what the fuck is your problem? And he's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. They also point out that like this demonstrates to Hicks that nobody on the team has any extra information about what's going on. Like nobody knows like what the mission is or about the paradox or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like I'm not even 100% sure that anyone really knows like why they're there.
Right. Just that they're supposed to salvage equipment from a failed mission or something like that.
Yeah, exactly, something like that. But yeah, they get onto the ship. They make their way in, and one of the first. Oh, sorry.
They gotta crack the code, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Max has to hack. He says, "Give me 30 seconds." This is Gunny Max here. But he had it under 15, and he hacks into he gets the code punched in he gets the code remotely, and then Hicks punches it in.
Mm-hmm.
And now, weapons up, right?
Yeah, they get in, they set up a floodlight because, they're going in, but like you mentioned, he also sent other couple of groups to go check on the other side of the ship.
Right.
And he gets in and they see what they very obviously and immediately recognize as blood, but they're like, we got something here that might be blood, but everyone knows it's blood.
Yes. He immediately talks to the exterior teams and he's like, back to the entrance.
Yeah,
we're on
come
high
on
alert.
back. Yeah, come on back. We got blood. We probably got bodies or something. And so they're making their way through the ship and they open up one of the doors and it leads into like the command center.
Yes.
And like the first thing they come across when they come into the command center is a body. There's just a corpse lying there.
Yes.
And they go and investigate it. And bad luck to Hicks. Literally the first body he finds is the body of his wife.
Yeah, man.
Turns out it is R. Miller Hicks.
Yes.
And she is described as I don't think they actually say it's like the death wound, but they say that her skull was like partially caved in.
Half of her skull was caved in, yeah, like with the side of her skull. But yeah, I like that he recognizes the environment, right? He recognizes it from her videos, and that kind of is like telling him where to go and where to look and everything. Like you were saying, that got lost to choppy audio. He like follows like his memory of the place to the console where she would have sent the message. And yeah, man, there she is.
There she is. And they even say that he doesn't really recognize her like actual body because she's like partially desiccated by this point.
Right.
But he like wipes the dust off of her name tag and reads like the R. Miller Hicks, and like everyone around him immediately goes, oh no, were you related to him? And without even thinking, he goes, her.
Yeah.
And then like takes the ring off of her.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he goes, she was my wife. And everyone's like, you had a wife?
What the fuck? And Gunny Max is like, how the hell did you get on this assignment? And he's like, I don't know, but I'm glad I did because now I got some closure.
All right. So yeah, he basically takes the ring while everyone's freaking out. And he's like, like you mentioned, oh, I don't know how I got this assignment, but it's lucky and all that. And like how I mentioned in the previous story that there's one scene in each story that I envisioned being in live action.
Yes.
This is that scene from this story.
Honestly,
I pictured Michael Biehn like standing there and like robotically being like their ship, went off course and they haven't heard from them for 5 years, and just like robotically and woodenly like looking around at no one while everyone's like, oh my god, like lean like up the ring and then like unzips one of his pockets to put the ring. Like I pictured all of this happening on screen, and I was like, damn, that would be so cool to just be able to have seen him do that,
Yeah, I did the same thing. It's funny, like I very clearly in the last story also pictured the many Lance Henriksen's getting up in sync off the couches, etc. I did the same thing here. I could see him sort of like looking down at the body, seeing the caved in skull, not looking at anyone, saying, this is my wife, moving her hands away from the rifle so that he could open her fingers and take the ring off. I saw all of that as well.
Runs his hand, her hair, the wisps of her hair one last time. And then as the narration even says, he has to like force himself to get up and
Yes.
turn away from her.
Right, because they still have a mission to do, right?
Yeah, they sure do.
So they're doing an infrared scan of the ship, but there's not showing any signs of life. They are checking out the hypersleep pods, right? The cryosleep pods.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all empty. Not just empty, but like broken, shattered glass and full of bullet holes and all kinds of shit like that.
Yep.
And they're like, what the hell happened here? Very reminiscent of the Marines entering Hadley's Hope.
And while they're going around, they have they have all the pods like lined up on the wall, but then they get to a section of the wall where the pods are still lined up in the wall, but they're lined up like differently. They're like stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
And somebody reaches behind and brings their hand back, and the narrative describes as something like sticky and gooey.
Yes.
And I was like, dog, is this a resin?
I mean, between the skull wound, right? For
Rachel.
There we go. I was going to say Rebecca, but that's Newt.
Sure is.
Between that, I mean, the black shadowy figure, and now this like weird stuff on the walls and these weird rounded coils they're finding on the floor and on the ceiling and everything. You're just like, Xenomorphs? This feels like Xenomorphs.
It is again. It is very much meant to evoke Xenomorphs without specifically saying that.
Yeah, and us, we're thinking like, I think Hicks would remember if he'd encountered Xenomorphs before, you know?
Yeah, and
Where's
that
this
is the
going?
reason why. That's the reason why this book never specifically says there's Xenomorphs.
Sure, but
I will like to point out though that, as you said, they use infrared to scan the ship, and nothing shows up.
Right.
Spoiler alert, for literally like 10 seconds later in the book, stuff shows up and starts attacking them. So Neil, let me ask you,
Sure.
do you remember what story it was that somebody used infrared to scan and it picked up the signals of Xenomorphs? And we were like, wait a minute, I thought Xenomorphs didn't show up on infrared. Do you remember what story that was?
I don't. I remember talking about it. Was that?
What I wrote in my notes was further proof that they don't have heat signatures or show up on infrared. Take that was, because I couldn't remember what it was either.
You said take that, whatever it was. Yeah.
Whatever story that was. Yeah, I couldn't remember. So
Was it Icarus?
I don't remember. I literally cannot remember.
Was it like the Steel Team, like scanning in infrared, or was it it feels like
even if
a Marvel comic.
Even if you're correct, giving me hints will not enable me to remember. I literally cannot recall which story it was.
DM us on Twitter, Crew Expendapod.
Twitter is Crew Expendapod. Anyone out there that is more familiar with our episodes than us, please tell us what story that was.
Yes, please. Yeah, but yeah, I'm just like, man, there's Xenomorphs. I was a little bit at this point thinking like, is he gonna get his mind wiped by a fucking med pod like in Out of the Shadows? Like, are we doing that again?
I would have legitimately been like very upset if that had happened.
Not only did it erase his encounter with the Xenomorphs, it also erased his memory of his wife.
Yeah, because he sure is not wearing a ring when the movie takes place. I'm pretty sure.
Man, and yeah, you'd think it'd come up.
But like I said, they get attacked, and again, they're just like big black blotches that are attacking them from the shadows. They're literally described at one point as giant dark worms.
Yes.
Which I thought was an interesting choice.
Same here. That made me think of two things. First, made me think of hammerpedes, right? Because, and I was like,
I mean, they're not dark, but...
Well, you know,
they're also not giant. But
well, we don't know how large they can grow. We only saw infants, and they grew to the size they were from earthworms, basically. So
that's true. You got me there.
Possible, but I was like, this is evoking a lot of Xenomorph aesthetic, but that also means pathogen aesthetic. That also means like Prometheus style, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, maybe this is tying into those maybe this is like an early version of exploring that.
I mean, this book did come out the same time as Covenant. They both came out in 2017.
Yeah, so maybe But the other thing it made me think of, but I decided it couldn't be this, but maybe it is this, dude. The Alien original screenplay graphic novel comic series that we read. Remember how tentacly the face hugger was in that?
Sure do. And I can tell you right now, it definitely is not that.
Right. But I was like, these are just things it evoked, like other things in the franchise that that I like checked in with. I was like, oh, maybe it's like inspired. Maybe it's just inspired by that shit. I don't know, man.
This is also where the story says they make a sound that is a combination of a hyena scream and an elephant roar. And then after that, I wrote in my notes, is that a scree with like 5 question marks?
I think I'm going to call it scree adjacent.
I also write here in my notes, after the giant dark worms comment, I write, my comment here assumes that these are actually xenomorphs, but I will not be going back and changing my notes if they turn out to not be. So I just assumed they were xenomorphs. But again, listener, we never get any confirmation. We're never actually given a concrete description of what these things look like. Anyway,
I, for one, don't believe that they are xenomorphs. I just want to put that on the record. I don't think so. I think it's something xenomorph adjacent for sure, which is why I was going down the pathogen route. But I do not think it is xenomorphs proper. But in any way you slice it, it is still way too close for Hicks to not bring this up on Hadley's Hope. You know what I mean?
Especially because, as it turns out, the Marines are fucking getting their asses kicked by these things.
All of them.
Whatever they are. Like, over the course of the rest of the scene, literally every single Marine on site other than Hicks gets killed by these things.
There's a nice shot. This is after Hicks goes down. He gets injured, right? He gets stabbed in the leg by like a sharp piece of metal or something.
Yeah.
He wants to go back into the fight, right? But he looks at the fight that's going on, and he's like, he's seeing like there's rifle fire coming from strange angles, like down from the ceiling, up from the floor, ricocheting off walls like crazy. So like these Marines are getting like thrown to the ground, thrown up in the air, just tossed around as they're firing, and he's like, I can't fucking go back in there. And he's like struggling to stand up. He has to prop himself up on one of the cryopods that's nearby. And like, as he's watching this happen, like very quickly, like as he's just getting up, the gunfire is just dying off very fast. And he sort of realizes, oh shit, everybody's dead.
And throughout this entire scene, Maxwell is in the being like, Hicks, what the fuck is happening down there? Why won't anyone tell me anything? And Hicks is just like, firefight with unknown life form. I'll call you back.
Yeah. You know, he's been giving orders to like pull out and retreat and all of that through all of this.
Because again, the other 11 Marines all got killed and Hicks is the only one still alive.
Yes.
And so Maxwell's like, get the fuck out of there, dude. You are the only survivor. And he's like, peace, bitch, and just hightails it out of there.
He does grab one of their bodies and like turns them around, but like their helmet and everything is caved in. And it's just described as a black, wet hole.
Yeah, their face is just gone. That's Trexler, by the way.
Trexler. That also reminded me of Prometheus with the stoner guys and the hammerpede.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I do think that she was Yvonne was pulling some imagery from Prometheus with this. Again, I think trying to hint at something xenomorph-like without being a xenomorph. What a time in the franchise.
But yeah, he hightails his ass out of there because one of them starts to chase him.
Right.
He gets out into the exterior command room where Rachel's body is, and he's like, I literally cannot allow myself to even look at her because if I know that if I did, I will get distracted and this thing will fucking kill me.
Yeah. He's also having a hell of a time moving out of here because his leg is still injured, right? Like he can barely, like he's just running on adrenaline at this point, trying to get out.
At one point, he literally has to crawl to get out of the place.
Yes.
But yeah, then this thing starts chasing him, chases him through the command center, chases him through the door they come in at. and then he has to punch in the code to close the door and seal the creature in.
He's like,
knowing that when he does, he will be sealing the tomb that his wife died in forever.
yeah, and he like hardly has time to think about that because he's like, Max, I need the code. And Max is like, what do you mean the door's open? He's like, I have to fucking close the door. This thing's going to get out. Max gets him the code. He punches it in wrong and then has to have it read to him again so he can punch it in correctly. Tense, honestly, tense moment in the prose. Like that really worked on me, you know, the whole thing. I mean, him thinking about like, I'm sealing the tomb, you know, my wife's body is in here now forever. Yeah. And it just, yeah, man.
And then after that, it just kind of cuts to him being back.
Yeah.
And just going through all these meetings, giving all these reports, getting questioned over and over and over again. And every time they're at, you know, every single time he gets asked what it was, you know, what was it that killed all of these things? And as he even points out, there is a standard 11-word answer that he has to repeat every time.
Yes.
A lethal, non-human organic life form of indeterminate origin and physical description.
Right.
And so they were like, you know, why were you, well, like, you know, why did you get sent on this mission? Was it to rescue your wife? And he was like, well, I didn't pick the mission. I got sent it randomly by chance. And they're like, you know, why did you decide to go rather than report it? And he's like, you know, because I wanted some closure. Yes. Did you find that closure? And he goes, yes, they were killed by, let me guess,
a non-lethal organic life form of indeterminate origin and physical description.
Over and over and over again, just like endless series of just like faceless, mind-numbing bureaucrats, all the same people. He has to write it on these forms so many times and so many times. And eventually he just goes back to his squad, and the rest of his squad, there's one guy in particular that's like really upset that he got to go on this mission when no one else in his squad did. Yeah. And like Maxwell just gets reassigned and they never see each other again. And, you know, the days just keep drifting by. Eventually his life just goes back to normal, except every night he has those 2 rings, and sometimes he'll clutch them so hard that they cut his hand open, and he just watches those videos from his wife every single day over and over until he has every bit of them memorized permanently, swearing to himself that he will kill these things.
Eventually he'll find and kill the creature that had murdered his wife.
That's how the story ends. And Neil, I gotta say, I absolutely fucking love the end of this story.
Yeah, man. It is
after he gets back, where everything is just mind-numbing and boring, and just like the repetition and how everything just kind of peters out and it doesn't really end. It just kind of stops after a while because it's like nothing really went anywhere. As I wrote in my notes, it was just kind of like he still thought about it, but after a while, life just kind of returned to normal. Yeah. And like I said, it just kind of petered out. Nothing really happened. But honestly, dude, the ending might have been my favorite part of the whole story.
I really like the ending too. And it reminded me anyway of like the scene of Ripley talking to the Weyland-Yutani board and aliens. It's just like, I don't know, like we've been over this a million times. Like, why are we still doing this? Right. Just that constant like debriefing and, you know, assessing.
I mean, I didn't make that specific connection to that moment in Aliens, but you are correct. It does, I assume on purpose, echo that. Yeah. But like the reason I like it is because I thought like the specific way that the actual writing itself was handled just did such a great job of the monotony of the endless line of people, and how it's like, this is still important to him, but he's still alive. He still has a job to do, and the other people around him don't fucking care. Right. They still, you know, he still has to do his fucking job. And so it's one of those things where it stops being the most important thing in his life and just becomes another thing in his life, just like everything else is. Yeah. And I thought that was very touching. I thought it was very poignant. Because at the very end, they still make sure to be like, but despite that, she's still the only thing he ever fucking thinks about.
Yes.
But it's fine. He's still living his life like normal. And I thought it was genuinely very like powerful and touching because I thought it was just written very well from like a pure like narrative standpoint.
Yes.
The actual prose was just done extremely well. And I was like, damn, that was really good.
Overall, I think the writing in the story was very good. You know, the action scenes, they were disorienting, but they were intended to be, and it wasn't hard to follow. It was communicated like extremely well how disorienting it was. It was dark. You're just seeing muzzle flashes. He's seeing fire going in directions, like, you know, gunfire going in directions it shouldn't be going in. You know, he hears the guns petering off, all of that stuff. Like, for never really revealing what these creatures are or showing them to us, it yeah, it was all communicated very effectively. I like the story a lot. How do you feel about the thing overall, beyond just the ending?
About the story overall?
Yeah.
I did like it. This story, the one big problem that I have with it is, as I mentioned earlier, it invents a bunch of backstory for a character.
Right. An established character. Now,
like, it retcons a whole bunch of stuff about them. And like, I'm not inherently against that because, like, for instance, there is an entire prequel novel for both Bishop and Vasquez that is currently existing in the canon. I'm not inherently necessarily opposed to that idea, but it's just like, they could tell a story about some cool mission that Hicks went on, but instead they're like, we're just going to invent a whole bunch of backstory when they don't necessarily need to.
Right.
I mean, like, I know they need to because the premise of the story is he's going to find his wife, but the only reason that's a premise for the story is because that's the one they chose. They could have just made it about something else where they didn't need to invent a whole bunch of backstory about him, you know? I don't know. It feels cheap to me in a way I'm having trouble articulating.
Right. I do want to just say that the Bishop novel that's out, I think is specifically a sequel to Aliens and Alien 3.
Okay, it's a sequel, not a prequel. Sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I don't believe it's a prequel. I have not read it.
Yeah. Neither have I. That's why I didn't know. So,
and I think it focuses more on Michael Bishop, the guy who created the Bishop model. Again, that contradicts the previous story we read also.
Sure
Michael Bishop, the guy we see at the end of Alien 3, right?
Yep. That's the one.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's something we haven't read yet, so we can't really weigh in on its content. Maybe we should read that, man. Maybe we should read that sooner. I mean, I know we're taking a break from our Alien Resurrection cycle briefly.
Yeah, I was going to say we haven't even finished our Resurrection stuff yet. So
yeah, we'll talk about it off the air.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it now. This episode's already long enough.
Yeah, so both of these stories built backstories for characters from Aliens, right? Which one do you think did it in a better way? As in, you know, I don't know that we can consider either of these stories canon, but as a reminder to everyone, we're not particularly concerned with canon on this podcast.
We're not. That is correct. We don't really care that much.
So just in this isolated vacuum of these two stories with fairly similar, you know, I mean, similar goals, right?
Yep.
Which one did it better for you?
Okay, now when you ask that, do you mean which story do I like better, or do you mean which story do I think depicted that character closer to what they're like in the movie?
Not that. Well, kind of that. I think, like, which one of these, if you're like, okay, I can see how this story informs how the character, how does this prequel story for this character, which one of them, I guess, feels more like it fits with the character we see in the movie.
Okay. Yeah. To me, I mean, I'm going out on a limb by saying this because you might not agree, but to me, there is one clear and obvious answer, and that is the one about Bishop.
I do agree. Yes.
All right, good. Woo. Like I said, I'm wiping sweat off my brow. I was worried I was going to be like, oh, there's one obvious answer. And then you were like, nope, bzz, wrong-o.
No, man. First of all, there's no one answer to that question, I think. Well, I guess because there's two possible answers.
Yeah, sure.
But you know what I'm trying to say. I think, I agree with you. My issue with this story, there are moments that felt like Hicks, right? Like, the moment you described, you could see in your mind cinematically that I had a similar. I could see that as well. I could see the firefight also, but that moment where you can see Michael Biehn. Am I saying that right? Don't correct me.
I don't know. I called him Bine earlier, but I don't know if it's Bine, Bean, Bane. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
We talked about this.
Michael, if you're listening, sorry.
Hey, Mikey, come on the show. Ugh.
Yeah, for sure.
We can talk about that Indiana Jones knockoff TV series you did that's streaming free on the Roku channel.
Mm-hmm.
That moment felt like Hicks, right?
It did.
The rest, and when he's in soldier mode and he's leading the team and giving orders and doing roll call and all that stuff, that felt like Hicks. You know, he was never the quippy guy in Aliens, right? He says a stay frosty in this, right? Like,
he does. I even notated that in my notes.
But the rest of it didn't feel like Hicks in the same way that Outbreak is Hicks, but it also doesn't feel like Hicks. Like, that feels like a major fall for that character.
Yeah.
This almost feels like the story of that character from Outbreak. You know what I mean? Like a different version of Hicks. Like, I'm with you in the sense of it doesn't really feel that much like Hicks, but I'm willing to go out even farther on a limb here. Yeah.
For like 90+% of this story, it could just like it didn't need to be Hicks. It could have just been any random Marine. There's only a couple of points in this story that it really feels like the fact that it is this character we already know, like, actively informs what it is that we're reading. The overwhelming majority of the story, it could have just been anyone, whereas the Bishop story, it very specifically would not make sense if it was not specifically Bishop.
I agree. Yeah. I think there's an argument to be made of like, well, this, like the Hicks we meet in Aliens, it's some years after this. Maybe he's been informed by all of this. Maybe the reason he's still in the Marine Corps is because he wants to find these creatures. Maybe that's why he goes on the bug hunt missions, because he's trying to find this species and eradicate it or whatever.
That is the implication that the story ends with. Yes. Right.
He's been changed by this moment. He's become more I mean, he's not particularly hardened in Aliens, and that's, I think, a large part of the appeal of the character. But you could also be like, this is why he has compassion for Ripley and Newt. He learned it, you know, through like his own losses that he experienced, losing his wife and everything. There's an argument to be made for that, but I don't think it's strong enough for me to buy it completely. You know?
Yeah.
I
think, go ahead.
Oh,
I was just
Jinx, motherfucker.
You go first.
Okay. I was going to say, I think you're right on where it's like, this doesn't need to be Hicks. This could be a story about a different Marine. Yeah. Then we're not caught up on the were these or were these not xenomorphs. Why isn't he bringing up this story? Like, if he's experienced something like this, that feels like it'd be relevant to the situation he was in Hadley's Hope. Like, then it feels less like you're inventing backstory, right?
Because like if they had simply not made the main character of this story Hicks, I honestly believe the story would have been made better, because like, if you actually look at the actual writing of the story itself, the main character, whether he be Hicks or not, like the actual person that the main character is, doesn't matter for this specific point that I'm trying to make. The main character he's not really like drawn very well. Like, you know, the main character isn't really like given much of a personality and isn't really written that, like, you know, he gets sad when he finds his wife's dead body, but like, Of course he did, because anyone would get sad when they find their wife's body.
Right.
Like, he gets like hurt and he's in pain when he like sees his wife get attacked by this monster, but like literally anyone would. Like none
Sure.
of these moments are specific to Hicks. And so if they had just made the main character someone else, we wouldn't have been inventing a bunch of backstory for a character we don't already, or that we wouldn't have been inventing a bunch of backstory for a character we already know. And also, more importantly, they would have been able to be specific about what those aliens were that they were fighting.
Right. I mean, but they wouldn't have had to be specific about it, right? They can still leave that up to your imagination.
True, but like I was hinting at earlier, the whole reason they didn't get specific about it was because they didn't want you to go, well, wait a minute. If in this story Hicks already knew what xenomorphs were, why didn't he bring it up in the movie? That's why they left it vague. They wouldn't have had to worry about that if they had just made the main character some other guy.
Yeah, it sort of suffers from Prometheus syndrome, where it's trying to be alien without the alien directly,
Yeah, exactly.
You get all the parts, but you don't get the finished cake, right?
For sure.
Just the ingredients. Maybe we're thinking about this all wrong, though. Maybe this is a canon story about Corporal Hicks, about Dwayne Hicks, but it's the James Remar version. Right.
Could be.
Maybe we got to reread this story picturing James Remar in all these situations, and suddenly it all makes sense. It all clicks. Right.
Maybe this is a prequel to the timeline of the Alien universe where fucking the Colonial Marines game is canon.
There you go. Maybe it is. Maybe it exists in one of those universes.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know. But yeah, I do think this was still a good story and a fun story. And
yeah, I do like it. It's just the main character of the story didn't need to be Hicks for it to work. The main character of the previous story did need to be Bishop for the story to work that way.
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I enjoyed both of these, but I am giving the edge to Broken by Rachel Caine over Reclamation by Yvonne Navarro.
I think I will agree with you. Both of the stories are legitimately very good, and both of them have one or two scenes that I was actually like taken aback and kind of blown away by when I was reading them, at like how good this moment was and how much I was like affected by it.
Yes.
Ironically enough, in Broken, it was the opening scene, and in Reclamation, it was the closing scene. So this episode was bookmarked by my two favorite scenes in these stories. But like you, I think I will ultimately say that I think I like Broken a little bit more. Even though I think it had the weaker story of the two, and I think it was probably less exciting. I think the writing was a little bit better and the characterization was stronger.
And it wasn't playing games, right?
It was not.
Yeah, well, there you have it. We should probably wrap this up because we are we've
this
been going for a
episode's
long time.
This episode's almost 3 hours long.
Yeah, I don't think I'm getting this one edited right away.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get started on it soon. So apologies if this one goes out late, everybody. At least it's going out.
And I guess in retrospect, I'm going to feel forced to apologize for talking about Persona for half an hour.
Should I edit that out? No.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine.
Not gonna.
I mean, like, here's the thing. The real fans aren't going to care. So
yeah, and we'll get that timestamp up on YouTube. Maybe I will put a little note in the description of like topic starts here, right? Who knows?
Eliminate his job. Why don't you?
No, he needs something to do.
That's right.
Let's close this up. First, I want to say
I don't think I have anything else to say, so go ahead.
Shout out and thank you to our friend Jade at Jade Sketches on Instagram for the cooler bot that I put into almost all of the thumbnail art. Follow her on Instagram. Listen to our Alien Covenant episode where she joined us. Just do it, guys. Also, shout out to our friend Tom at art_of_Wamtez on Instagram for doing some more Coolerbot artwork for us for our YouTube thumbnails. And I'm going to put one of his drawings of Coolerbot with an ovomorph as the thumbnail art for this episode. Follow Tom on Instagram too. He's a very good artist as well.
Everyone loves that little guy.
Man, Cooler
And,
Bot.
and I mean Cooler Bot, not Tom when I say that.
Yeah, people hate Tom, but boy, do they
I
love
don't-
Cooler Bot.
I mean, I don't know how other people feel about Tom, but I think he's cool. But I mean, I don't know about everyone else. But I was referring to Cooler Bot when I said that. Everyone fucking loves Cooler Bot, man.
Sure. Do you think we need to remind people on occasion where Cooler Bot came from, new listeners and such?
He is from the episode about the Nintendo DS game Aliens Infestation.
Yes, an unused asset from that game that we saw the sprites for and just fell in love with, and
We sure did.
recruited him for the podcast.
Yeah, we saw that in the notes on like the Xenopedia article or whatever, and we were both like, "What the fuck? This guy rules!" So here he is,
Yeah.
the official mascot of the show now.
Follow Jade and Tom on Instagram, and follow our show on social media. Kenny, where can people find that?
Our Twitter, as you mentioned earlier, is at Crew Expendapod. Our Blue Sky is at Crew Expendable. Our Instagram, which I believe you also mentioned earlier, is at Crew Expendable Pod. Our website is crewexpendable.net. Our email address, again, as you mentioned earlier, is mother@crewexpendable.net. And our YouTube page is youtube.com/@crewexpendable. And based on the numbers, it seems like a whole lot of people are listening to us there right now.
We got a new one too, Kenny. I didn't tell you this. Dropping this bomb now.
Oh, shit.
Show's also on Threads
What the heck?
at Crew Expendable Pod.
Oh, so it's just the Instagram. Okay.
It is. Yeah. So let's get that. Let's get that Threads
I mean-
account going.
Yeah, I know that Threads is like run by Instagram, but like I don't know what I'm trying to say, so don't worry about it. Never mind.
Kenny, where can people find you on the internet?
I have a handle that I use for the same thing for everything as my personal brand all over the internet. That handle is at CYHOBBEZ. I'm primarily on Twitter and Letterboxd, and I'm also in a whole bunch of Discord servers, but good luck trying to find me there. I mean, you know what my name is, I guess, but like good luck like trying to get me to add you as a friend if you send me a friend request, I guess.
There you go.
But yeah, I'm on Twitter and Letterboxd at that handle.
Nice. I am on Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, Threads. I think that's it. Twitch, at Final Neil. That's NEAL. So yeah, follow me places.
I'm glad you said that because I forgot to mention I'm also on Blue Sky too. So I'm on Blue Sky, Letterboxd, and Twitter.
At CYHOBBEZ for Kenny.
Correct. And FINALNEAL for Neil.
Hey, there we go.
Doing each other's plugs.
I love it. Our next episode will be on Aliens What If, #1 from Marvel Comics.
Glad you said that because I genuinely forgot what we were doing next. Cool.
We will be doing that, reading it for the first time as we record the podcast. So,
Cool.
yeah, if you like that format, good news. We'll be back with that soon. So until then, stay frosty.
Frosty.